want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smyth Radio. Your host, Brian Smith, along with
Carrie Smith,
giving you all the late-breaking details of news of past week, wrapping it all up, making sense of it all, telling you what happened on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so that you know exactly what you're talking about when you get back to work on Monday. And I probably don't have to tell you too much, but I'll get into the details with Carrie. We'll let you know what the FBI is really thinking, what the deal behind all that deal is, the dirtiness, the crookedness, the liars, and this, my good friend and yours, giving us late-breaking information.
I need to open with a very critical breaking news announcement. The FBI has just sent a letter to Congress informing them that they have discovered new emails pertaining to the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's investigation and they are reopening the case into her criminal and illegal conduct that threatens the security of the United States of America. Hillary Clinton's corruption is on a scale we have never seen before. We must not let her take her criminal scheme into the Oval Office. I have great respect for the fact that the FBI and the Department of Justice are now willing to have the courage to right the horrible mistake that they made. This was a grave miscarriage of justice that the American people fully understood. And it is everybody's hope that it is about to be corrected.
Man, did you hear that crowd?
oh, they were so, I don't know if I've heard them sound like that since the very first couple of times he said we're going to build a wall all the way across the Mexican border. So
when I first heard that, and I heard it on Twitter, I couldn't help but well up and just with emotions. It was absolutely probably one of the most emotional times I think I've had in years. And that's only because we all know, polls, they polled people across America, and they said in the poll, 75 to 80% of Americans believe she should pay for a crime she committed in some form or fashion.
right, and I think that the American people are smart enough to know that when FBI Director Comey comes out and says that she did X, Y, and Z, which are all illegal, and that he's not going to charge her because there's no evidence that she intended to do this, there's very few people that are going to accept that, because it's under no circumstance in any part of the history of the United States has that been the reason why you would not charge somebody for a crime committed.
Well, even Trey Gowdy said that it is not, he can show intent. He can show the possibility of intent. It is up to a grand jury to decide whether there was intent or not. All the FBI had to do was present this information to a grand jury. And then the grand jury would decide what intent there was, if there was really intent. I mean, completely so sad. The thing went off the rails so bad. And Loretta Lynch, they're saying right now, never in the history of Attorney General has an Attorney General ever, while the FBI was doing an investigation, never has an Attorney General said, prior to the conclusion of the investigation, I will, as Loretta Lynch, do as the FBI wishes.
Okay.
Why would you say that? As an Attorney General, you have literally relinquished
I never really thought about
all
that.
power. You've relinquished all your power, and you've stepped out. You literally recused yourself, and you recused your entire department.
And it took a while for her to actually say that. There was all these speculation and what's going to happen, and this went on for days and days and days, and finally she comes out and says that. And I never really thought about what that means, but in hindsight, isn't hindsight 20/20? You listen to it now and you think about it, and you see what all has happened to this point, and you realize that she said that because she knew James Comey was going to come out and say he's not going to charge her with anything or indict her. And he is not saying that he's doing that now. I think there's a lot of, and you'll hear that when we play the sound bites of the Democrats reacting to this, you will see what I'm talking about. But it's not about her being charged now. It's that they're going to open it back up, and the possibility still exists that she will get charged.
I saw the article that Rush posts after his show. I get the email, the post show for Rush Limbaugh. I saw his thought process on it. I listened to a lot of obviously I listened to all the sound bites, but I listened to a lot of different opinions on the entire FBI reopening this new campaign on Hillary Clinton. And in case you don't know and you live under a rock, that's what we're talking about. I think I'm almost coming to a new conclusion.
Which is what?
Well, let us get into the sound bites before I get there.
Oh, so you're gonna steal somebody else's conclusion?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, my conclusion. Well, I originally kind of sided with Rush that this might be a Trojan horse.
Or distraction. A lot of people,
distraction.
Shouldn't say a lot of people, but certain key people that we have a lot of respect for coming out and saying that. And once you hear the Democrat reaction to this, once again, you're going to find out why Rush may actually be right. But
so here's Hillary's reaction immediately after the FBI sent a letter to the Republicans and to the Democrats. It's very important that you know that Comey sent a letter to both parties. But here's Hillary's response.
The American people deserve to get the full and complete facts immediately.
Okay. That's not the complete soundbite, but I want you to understand. Listen again.
The American people deserve to get the full and complete facts immediately. The director himself has said he doesn't know whether the emails referenced in his letter are significant or not. I'm confident, whatever they are, will not change the conclusion reached in July.
So she said a couple of things there. One, she said that the public should be informed, or be, the whole narrative now they're shaping is that the public needs to see what's in it before the FBI can decide to prosecute.
right.
The people should be demanding to see these. You say you got these?
Oh, you're sounding like the Cuban Missile Crisis now.
Really?
Well,
Mr. Kerry, please inform us a little bit.
So during the UN meeting, right in the height of the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Russians were denying that they had nuclear missiles in Cuba. And it was the ambassador, Russian ambassador, who was saying this. And And Adlai Stevenson, he was the ambassador, the UN ambassador for America at the time, was trying to say that we know you have them. And guess what the Russians were saying? The Russians knew that they had their own weapons there. They're the ones that sent them. Right? So they knew what the truth was.
Right.
But they looked at American ambassador in his eye, looked the world in their eye. Everybody, all the leaders from all over the world looked them dead in the eye and said, "You say you know that we have weapons in there, and we say that we don't, and yet you have yet to show any evidence. So we should just move on. You don't have any evidence. You don't have nothing. You know why? Because maybe we don't have them there." And he was just flat out playing chicken with the facts because they were banking. And guess what? It was a bad mistake, really bad. Because then that's when Adlai Stevenson busted out with the gigantic poster of the missiles.
Oh, right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes. He's like, look at this poster. Satellite imagery.
Yeah, that he brought those out.
This, and this.
Minutes or seconds after the Russian ambassador was saying, we should just move on because you're making all these wild accusations.
Here's the problem with the Clintons right now and the whole Clinton campaign demanding. I only heard one person say, "Be careful what you ask for, Hillary."
Uh-oh.
But she's demanding, and so Mook...
There's not enough time, though, is there?
No, there is not nearly... This is a chess play. This is a move that the Clinton camp has to make. It is a Hail Mary from hell for them to do. They've got no other option but to go... one of the writers for Breitbart wrote, this is their nuclear option. They have no other option other than go nuclear.
I'm not getting off on a tangent here. This is very relevant because this is what it feels like. There was we're going back to the Cold War, of course. There was a U-2 shot down.
Oh, right.
Right about at the height of the Cuban Missile Crisis. And they shot down. They didn't intend to. It was just some guy on the ground with a SAM missile.
Right.
Saw a U-2. He didn't know
apparently
what it was.
It wasn't high enough or it wasn't out of the way. I mean, usually they fly so high you can't even see them.
At the time, they had not had the technology to shoot them down that high. They just came out with it.
Oh,
and they said, let's fire it.
Oh,
so they fired it. Everybody thought that the U-2s you couldn't shoot them down.
Untouchable.
This was like the first time that they were able to do it. So anyway, they shoot down a U-2. And so the Russians knew that the Americans were going to have to respond. And most likely that meant a amphibious invasion of their East Coast up there near where Alaska and all that stuff. So guess what their job was, or what their strategy was to deal with that? They were going to pull all their army back, let the Americans on their shore, and nuke the whole shoreline.
Oh!
That feels like what Hillary's doing right now. Hillary's like, all right, let's pull all the troops back and get ready to nuke the bad guys when they come on shore. So they're nuking themselves. They're using a nuclear option. But if they get them to go all in, then it's actually pretty strategic because then you just wiped out. So Rush Limbaugh says that this is a distraction.
Don't get me wrong. I agree with that in part. This is a ginormous distraction from a couple of things. I know you said Rush mentioned WikiLeaks. However, the intranet, the interworkings of the web.
The World Wide Web?
Yeah, the WWWs.
Okay.
They ain't forgot the WikiLeaks, and WikiLeaks is running ape all over Twitter.
Okay, so here's a little idea. I'm just brainstorming real time here, folks, on the radio. If Rush thinks it's a distraction, and we know that Comey is a finger puppet of the Democratic Party.
And we made that point. He was tied directly to a subcontractor to the Clinton Foundation. His brother is tied to Obama and money from the government to start up a construction company of sorts.
Well, not to get too far in the weeds.
No, but that's the point, though. He's tied.
We could tell by listening to his speech, was it months ago, about
July. July.
about not indicting her that it sounded like a cry for help.
Oh, right.
Remember?
We said that.
We reported that.
He's like, guys, I'm going to get the bullet. Save me. I can't indict her.
Right. I can't do it, but I just want everybody to know that she's absolutely indictable. But for whatever reason, I couldn't do it because whatever.
Right.
Okay, so my point is, if he's the puppet of the DNC and Rush, among other people, believe that this is a distraction from more important things, then wouldn't it make sense that the DNC or the Hillary campaign would have ordered Comey to come out to say he was going to reopen this?
Okay. Yes,
now we're getting total tinfoil hat here right now.
No, and I've thought about that. However,
Very cynical.
my only problem with that is, say that is true. Just walk that through real quick. Clinton's contact Comey. Hey, bro, you got to do this thing, right? And he's like, no, that's insane. That's suicide. And the Clinton campaign, no.
We know what we're doing.
We know what we're doing. We've got to, this is our nuclear option. We've got to kill the WikiLeaks. We've got to kill the rapist and all that. The people showing up at our rallies and Obama's rally for me with signs saying my husband's a rapist.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Obama screams, "Get your own rally!"
Yeah. Oh, like our rallies aren't big enough.
Right. He loses his place on the teleprompter, has to restart over again.
You guys were running that back a little bit?
Yeah, right. Okay, so if that were the case, me personally, I think that's a really bad decision because I don't think it. I think dropping the F-bomb.
The A-bomb?
The A-bomb of the FBI.
Oh, the FBI bomb.
Right. I think dropping that right now, 10 days before the election.
I mean, is it a Hail Mary? Or
Well, you want to know what the Breitbart posted an article today?
Okay, what'd they say?
ABC, NBC polls, some polls taken by, this is reported by Fox, polls taken over the last few days. It was right in the middle of polling that the FBI dropped the bomb. And so they noticed after the FBI drop, they're claiming 30% of the people polled are now rethinking their decision.
So how does this help alleviate that?
It doesn't.
So they're just trying anything.
A sympathy vote?
Like, oh, they're being too hard on her?
Yes, it's that Republicans because, Comey's a Republican.
It's the vast right-wing conspiracy.
Because they were trying to claim that Comey was a Republican because he was...
I thought he was.
Well, he was involved with the Bush...
the rhino.
He was involved with the Bush
The
plan.
reporting I got back when he made national headlines with the not indicting of the criminal Hillary Clinton, that it was Republican.
Well, but they wanted to paint the streets up and down the street that he was a Republican, when in all reality, he plays ball with whoever's got money.
For him to make a new precedent, precedent for indicting or for determining whether somebody had committed a crime,
right,
is clearly he's playing ball with somebody.
Absolutely. So I got this soundbite from Mook, who's the campaign manager for Hillary Clinton. But before I play that, I just want to make sure everybody's caught up to speed. We're already 19 minutes into the show. And I apologize if you're not caught up to speed, but here's what's going on. Friday docu-dump. James Comey, FBI director, sends a letter to the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. Hillary Clinton denied afterwards and said, no, it's only to the Republicans. She's caught lying. She is a habitual liar.
She's not even trying to hide the lies anymore.
No, it's habitually
liar.
Right, a habitual
liar.
Yes, thank you, Judge. So after he sends this information to the Republicans and Democrats, it is now public knowledge that they are reopening the case on Hillary Clinton and the email scandal because of new information they found while investigating Anthony Weiner, because he selfied himself with a child
He
in
was
the background.
sexting a child. Well, 15-year-old, I guess, teenager.
And he sexted women with his own children in the background.
Now, that is a little bit of cause for concern.
And so family services got involved.
Yeah.
Investigations started coming involved because this girl that he was sexting to was 15 at the time. He knew it. She told him. She knew it. Obviously, there's something going on with this girl. She's got some mental problems. I read the sexting, the things that he sexted her.
Were they pictures or just saying
the words, the things that he would ask her to do were just so graphic and so unconscionable. You couldn't even do that to a fully grown, mature adult.
I can't understand why somebody like him would not be like, oh, you're under 18. Oh, I'm moving on. And that's it. Moving on.
Or even if you're under 18, okay, the things I'm going to ask you to do, you're going to think are absolutely bizarre because you're a child.
That's neither here nor there.
Okay, maybe
it should have just been like, yeah, I'm not going down that road. Because
no, you're
I'm not
absolutely
going down that road. It's as simple as that. But for him to just be like, you know what? Whatever. That's just, it's so.
Okay, I think this is kind of
so
cleaning
messed
up. All of it was just so vulgar, just absolutely disgusting. And just like the cleanest thing I could probably mention, he requested her to go to school and call him pretending that she had been raped.
Did she find this odd? I mean,
I don't know, but she went through with it.
She did it.
Oh yeah.
So she was just following orders.
Right.
Which typical, I guess. I don't know.
But
I mean, it's not surprising.
How creepy. Absolutely disgustingly creepy.
Well, what
is
kind
that?
of person would find that to be something that you'd want your lady friend that you're thinking of wooing or whatnot?
Oh, you know what they call them? They call them cucks. Cuckold.
Oh, he gets excited. Oh boy, we're getting into the weeds here.
Okay, so we don't have to go that far. Okay, but anyways, Anthony Weiner was being investigated. His personal computer was seized and looked at, and they're like,
and that's how they found out.
Oh, OMG! FBI screams, OMG! There are emails from and his cell phone too. Huma or somebody used his cell phone to contacting the State Department and back and forth, unsecured lines. Huma used the computer, classified information on an unsecured server, unsecured line.
And now let's talk about hindsight once again. Isn't it pretty obvious when you've been sending tens of thousands of emails, any one of which will get you in trouble, and the FBI or whoever is extremely interested in finding these emails, erasing them from your server is not going to be enough. It's just a matter of time. Thankfully, this happened early enough because this could have taken 5 years. You know what I mean?
It still may take another few years.
Oh, they'll continue to find. Here's the thing. You make an email and you click send. You just made a copy of what you did. And now it's permanently on somebody else's computer. And if you do
somewhere.
And if they forward that or reply to somebody and add somebody else, next thing you know, it's the power of the exponent when it comes to sending and receiving emails to multiple people. And you got this big organization, you got the Clinton Foundation, you got this giant team of cabinet members and government workers, and this is going all over the place. Every single email you send has a minimum of one copy on whatever server of the person you send it to. Not just the server, but also the computer. A lot of times, unless you're operating completely on the cloud. I don't know how the emails work with .gov emails. I don't know. I don't know if it's something to where you get a physical email on your hard drive or if it stays in the cloud, kind of like Gmail. If you have Outlook, you have email on your computer.
If it's a .gov account, it is all completely 100% government server owned.
Well, that may be, but I'm just saying, if it's an app like Outlook, you get an actual file.
Yeah,
if I'm at
Gmail, if I'm at home using my .gov account,
yeah,
my computer would be secure to use and send .gov information so that it could only be on my computer or the government servers.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, I'll give you an example. Gmail.
Right.
I use Gmail.
So does Leon Podesta.
Okay, at no time when I'm using Gmail, whether I'm sending, receiving emails or whatever, at no time is there ever an email on my computer.
Correct.
Because you're always operating in the cloud on Gmail. On Outlook, you have an app on your computer with email files on your actual physical computer's hard drive.
And so when you click read on Outlook, sometimes depending on how many emails you have, you might have to wait a minute because it's downloading all the emails to your hard drive.
Right. So if the .gov emails work that way, then you have multiple locations where all these emails go, as opposed to like a Gmail type of server where it's only in the cloud, only on a server somewhere.
Well, and would Gmail have multiple servers? Would my email might be on multiple servers somewhere in the world?
I'm not an IT expert, but you might be, yeah.
Well, you can't say no to that. I mean, it's possibilities are
I
endless.
don't know, yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you something I know when I don't know, and I don't know that, but I do know. There's definitely multiple places where all these emails could be stored,
and they're out there, and we are now being inundated with Uma Abedin's wiener. That is just this. Breitbart wrote an article and said this is Wienergate. Wiener. Who would have thought the wiener would take down the Clintons?
And not this fast. I'm shocked. I'm just really dumbfounded that this all came down. I wonder if they're smart. Let me tell you, is it possible that the FBI is so smart that they started figuring out what this giant web of corruption that has been weaved by Hillary Clinton? Can we get her indirectly? Is there another person that's in her circle of friends, or maybe 1 degree of separation, or 2 degrees maybe at the most separation, that we could use as a conduit to get to her? In other words, do you think this was planned by the FBI that we're going to use either Wiener, or maybe they had a list of people who are the most likely people that we could use as a conduit to nail Clinton? Or was it just totally coincidence?
You know, when you're so deep into the dark world of sex, it always comes back to haunt you no matter what. It will always come back. Look at this thing with Bill Clinton. See, look at this whole situation. There's no morals. It's do what you want, do what you feel. Ann Coulter wrote the book Godless, the Democrat Party. Godless. Mm-hmm. No morals, no compass, no scruples whatsoever. And Bill Clinton, an absolute pedophile hanging out on Pedophile Island. All these women.
Lolita Island.
And Lolita Express.
To the plane.
Right,
yeah,
to the plane. Ditching Secret Service to go to this island. Hillary now starting to come out through WikiLeaks and the emails. She is also deep into dark sexual things. And they're friends with Anthony Weiner and his wife, who is reportedly with Hillary in that sense. And the Weiner is doing his thing. It's all incestuous. So when they say drain the swamp, this is the swamp.
This is what we're talking about, yeah.
This needs to be drained.
Oh, it's so bad.
Okay.
So bad.
So just to catch you up on that, that's what's going on. And FBI Director Comey says, well, looks like we need to get into this and reissue. So this is what Mook had to say on Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace started drilling him. I like Chris Wallace in the sense that he seems to be one of the most fairer of them all.
I would call him, dare I say, professional.
He does come off as professional, and I respect that. So here's Chris Wallace and Robbie Mook.
A look outside the Beltway at St. Anselm College in Manchester, New Hampshire, where Hillary Clinton campaigned this week.
Oh, by the way, real quick, she showed up at a bar.
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes it look more full when you get 10, 15 people in there.
It was in the morning.
In a bar.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was empty.
Well, no, what I'm saying is
creepy.
She's had some rumors about her. And
that would explain why she's in a bar. We will get to that a little bit later on the show, folks.
Joining me now from Clinton headquarters in Brooklyn, New York, to discuss Friday's shocker is Clinton campaign manager Robbie Mook. Robbie, what's your reaction to FBI Director Comey's announcement, and why do you think he did it?
Chris, well, thanks for having me. We were very surprised by this letter. And what we're asking at this point is that Director Comey just get all the information out on the table, all of it, so that the American people can judge for themselves. This issue was vetted through for months. Director Comey came to a conclusion. We believe that voters have already made up their minds on this issue. So we find it very strange that 10 days out, that he's putting this letter out there. And we discovered last night from Yahoo News that he and the Justice Department may not have a warrant to look at these messages. So we just want all the information out.
Okay, hold on. He just said they might not have a warrant to even look at these messages.
Probable cause. The probable cause is they're looking for the sexting pictures from Anthony Weiner. Let me give you an example. You get pulled over, all right?
Okay. Say I'm in Clifton.
Yeah, you're wow. Not appropriate.
Too soon?
That was a little inside here for people that are listening at home. We live in Cincinnati. Clifton is where Ray Tenzing shot what's his name? I can't remember. DuBois.
He was trying to run from the law, and the law won.
Yeah, and we're gonna find out if the law didn't win. But anyway, anyway, so imagine you're pulled over by the cops for speeding or whatever, and they see a brick of marijuana in the back seat.
Okay.
They now have probable cause to search your car. And this is totally legal. They do not need to get a warrant.
Hold on. So if they open the trunk of my car and there's a laptop in there.
No. Let's just say you open up the and there's a dead body in the back.
You're not supposed to see that. Come on, man. That has nothing to do with my weed.
Right. Yeah. Whoa. You do not have a warrant to open up that trunk. The guys found a brick of marijuana in the back seat. They're going to open the trunk. And guess what? That's all legal. Not the killing of whoever body that was. I'm saying.
Right. So
searching for it and finding it. You don't need a warrant for that.
So when Mookie Mook says they may not even have a warrant to look at these emails, the thing is they have a warrant that they got the computer from Weiner. Yeah. Whatever is on that computer is applicable. Oh, you can't open this section of files. It's got 2 hard drives. You can only look at the C drive and not the D drive.
Don't look at the don't look at the file that says PRON.
Right. And don't look at
nobody look that prawn. That's or no. How about the secret files folder? Don't anybody look at that.
Right. And the one that says CF, the Clinton Foundation, CFD. Do not open that. Yeah. HRC, do not open that.
I think I saw a meme or a picture of something online that of somebody's desktop, like a screenshot of their desktop, and there was somebody had a folder that said "not porn." That's Anthony Weiner's desktop there. So yeah, you're not allowed to look in that one,
right?
Because it's not porn.
And real quick, we got a guy Robert. Hey, thanks Robert for listening on the chat right now. And he just typed in, I think Comey is protecting his backside. I've heard Half the FBI was outraged at his previous announcement. Talk of possible corruption emerging, I think, spurred Comey to revisit this. It is a fact that before Comey was going to come out originally in July, before he was going to come out the closet as a Clinton supporter, FBI agents in the department made statements that if he does not indict her, we have other avenues to circumvent this.
Wow.
That didn't happen until this. So that plays into your whole theory that were they looking for other people to get to the Clintons?
Right. They're just trying to go through whatever avenue, maybe not directly.
This was a dead end. Let's go down this road.
Yeah.
This road dead ends. What about this one?
Yeah. And then finally the web of corruption will lead you to what you're really after, the target you're really going after.
Right.
So it's kind of like when they were going after Al Capone, they wanted to find his accountant.
Yeah, every avenue. They wanted every avenue. And
but
one
they were
smart
specifically going after the accountant.
Right.
Because the accountant had, so they found his logbook with all of these payments.
Right.
To and from all these entities. And they want to get him on tax evasion. However, it was all coded, and they couldn't decipher the code. His accountant had all the decoding for that. So they wanted to get to his accountant, and of course the accountant wasn't going to give up the information, and they finally
broken kneecaps and twisted knuckles.
There was a little bit of twisting of knuckles, and they ended up getting the code from him, and then they were able to indict him for tax evasion, which everybody was scratching their head on because he's a guy who's a mass murdering, corrupt, whatever.
And this was back when laws were a little bit different. If you told somebody to kill somebody, you couldn't be implicated on that murder because you didn't actually do it.
Right.
Now you actually can be implicated in a hit.
Ordering somebody to murder somebody else would have been protected by the First Amendment.
Right. So that's why we can't get Hillary on murder charges.
No, but they changed that since now if it could be shown that you ordered the hit, then you would be charged with murder.
I hope they can show that eventually. Anyways,
that would be when justice has really been done.
Right. So just a little bit more on Mook, and the reason why I'm playing this is coming up, and I'll show you why.
There.
Why do you think he did it?
I don't know, and this is the problem, Chris, is that, this letter was put out there. We have no information whatsoever about what might be in those emails. And again, according to Yahoo News, it appears that
he references Yahoo News
People make
multiple times on this.
People make fun of me because I reference Wikipedia. Mainly out of convenience. Because if there's a fact in Wikipedia that I know is true, that I know it's true. Like, for instance, guy's a professor at a university. It says it right in there. Oh, it says that in Wikipedia. Well, no, the guy actually is a professor at that university. What are you questioning here? Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's why I reference Wikipedia. Yahoo is like one step higher in credibility from like Salon.com.
Yeah, I was going to say,
very, very
it's
small
like
step.
CNN, Salon.com,
oh, wow.
and then Yahoo.
Wow, dude, you must not have read Salon.com recently. They are the pits. They are, I think that's the first rung.
Oh, wow.
You have to go under the surface of the swamp to get to Salon.
Yikes.
Yeah.
And so Yahoo is worse than them or just before them?
No, they're one step higher in credibility.
Oh, okay, so they're floating. They're floaters on top of the swamp.
Yes, yeah, the scum bucket or whatever.
Okay, so he references Yahoo multiple times, but now he's being grilled. Why do you think the FBI did this? What is the reasoning, Mook?
He may not have seen any of these emails at all. So we think he has a responsibility to the American people to get the information out there so they can judge for themselves.
Okay. This interview goes on for 9.5 minutes, and it's all exactly what you just heard.
They just repeat it?
Again and again and again. And it's blood starts to shoot out of your eyes.
If Yahoo said it, I mean, it's so let it be written, so let it be done.
Right. So now Mook is now calling. Well, if the FBI's got this, they must release it.
Should they?
To the people.
Okay. Because we live in a democracy.
And everything should be seen. Release The documents, my friend. It boggles my mind. Well, one, it boggles my mind that Comey did this 11 days out. That's first and foremost. Secondly, the Clinton machine rallying around a phrase, because that's what they do. They develop a catchphrase, and they all rally around this catchphrase, which is release the documents if you have them. You ain't got nothing, man. Come on. You haven't even seen them. It don't make no never mind. What are you doing over there at the FBI? Come on, guys. What did you relate this to earlier before pre-show prep? We were talking about this.
Oh, I don't know. Jog my memory a little bit. I'm just brainstorming.
With the girlfriend accusing you of cheating, and you never did it, but they're screaming back at you.
All right. So, and I'm stealing this from comedians from back in the 80s and 90s, and I can't remember which one I'd love to. I'd play you the clip if I could, if it wasn't too laced with profanity. But, what if your girlfriend or wife or whatnot accuses you of cheating and you're actually innocent, in reality, you're going to go nuts. You're going to be like, what? I did not cheat on you. I've been faithful and blah, blah, blah. And how could you say that? And you would really get upset. And same thing if somebody accused you of stealing or accused you of just about any accusation that you're innocent of. It drives you nuts.
Right.
If you're aware of that, if you're a very, very, very devious person who's been accused of things your whole life because you're a bad person who actually does these things.
Okay.
And you get accused of something that you actually did, and you want to convince the person accusing you that you didn't do it, you would do the same thing. You'd freak out and be like, oh, no, I did not do that. I am innocent. How dare you accuse me of all that, right?
Right.
And that's why you got to be careful, because some of the really bad characters out there will actually go down that road. And that's what I believe is going on with Hillary Clinton right now. I believe that they're demanding that we see the evidence because we're outraged at the accusation, because we're innocent. We wouldn't be so outraged. That's what they're trying to project to the people. They want everybody to see how outraged they are at these accusations so that it makes the public kind of second guess. Maybe these accusations aren't really real. Maybe there's nothing to it. Maybe it's false. Maybe they do want to see. Maybe they do want us to see what Comey's talking about so that we can come to the right conclusion that they are innocent. But guess what? There's a problem with that. According to Brian over here, he would know better. And that is that Comey can't get them this information in time before the election. And they know it.
Yeah, not even close. That is what they're gambling on. It is not physically possible. I listened to, we've got Tom Fuentes. Tom Fuentes is a former FBI agent, worked for the FBI. He's on CNN. CNN, we've got this thing. CNN is starting to stop. They're starting to cancel conservatives and people.
Bill Mitchell got canceled.
We're going to roll into that because I got some stuff, and we've got some damning interviews that CNN is starting to put the kibosh on and not bring conservatives on. They brought Tom Fuentes on thinking that he would be in their camp or thinking something.
Uh-oh.
So here's Tom Fuentes on CNN real quick. He has been involved in the FBI, and here's his take on what is going on.
Let's talk about this with a man who certainly has unique insight into the Federal Bureau of Investigations, former FBI Assistant Director and our CNN law enforcement analyst, Tom Fuentes. Tom, thanks for being here.
Hi, Poppy.
Hi. I just want your assessment of what Comey has done. Was he right to come forward to send that letter to Congress, say, look, we found another device, we found some emails, we don't know if they're pertinent or not, but we want you to know we're looking at them?
Well, I think he kind of painted himself into a corner because of the July 5th press conference. That was unprecedented, and to have the FBI director determine that it shouldn't even be referred to the Department of Justice, nobody in the FBI, and my former colleagues and many of them still in the Bureau, just no one understood why that was. When they heard his presentation, they thought that it merited an announcement that charges were recommended, if any announcement be made, but they thought that the package should have gone to the Department of Justice for final decision, and he cut that off and said, we recommend closing it. Once he did that, there was no choice.
Frankly, the Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, had said previously, we will defer to the FBI on this.
That's because she knew. She knew. She was told by Bill Clinton on the tarmac when he went into her plane that Comey was going to come out and say that no charges will be filed, and to recommend to her that she go public and say that she'll do whatever the FBI recommends, knowing full well that Comey was going to come out and say that we don't have any evidence that there was any wrongdoing because she didn't intend it, which is total baloney.
So Pappy says that Loretta Lynch said that she was going to give it up to the FBI. She was just going to go in. I believe she threw that statement out there as cover that, hey, come on, man, this Clinton thing ain't that bad. Even Loretta Lynch said, whatever, I'm just going to defer to the FBI.
So it was definitely a multi-prong thing there.
Right.
But I don't think she would have said that had she not been sure that Comey was going to come out and say, we don't see any.
Oh, yeah, she knew.
evidence.
Yeah.
Right.
She knew the inside scoop.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But she could have deferred to, and that was wrong on her part. She has underlings that are professional career prosecutors, that are civil service, that are not under the appointment of the president or serving at the behest of the president. So that could have been handled by normal means of the senior officials at the FBI, referring that to senior prosecutors at DOJ, who have handled many of these type of investigations, and handled it that way. Now that he did what he did on July 5th, then testifies before Congress, and Congress says if there's a new development, you're closing this case, you did close this case, or you're stopping the investigation. If there's a new development, tell us. You have to let us know. And I think that's what comes down to this week, that they have a new development that he felt compelled. He couldn't sit on it till November 9th and not say anything and have it come out that he already had known for a week and a half that this was going to be looked into. So,
right. So that it seems like there's a little CYA.
Well, I mean, I agree with that if everything that we've heard about this is all true and on the up and up, which is that he made a very tough, conscious decision to go with announcing it now, because even though he knows this is going to affect the election, there'll be less outrage about him just getting it out now than to come out after the election. Let's say she wins. If she wins, knowing that this was coming out maybe immediately, if not couple days after the election, she wins, and he comes out and says, oh, by the way, I have October surprise type of news about her
in January
that I withheld from you
in January.
Oh, well, it could be in November 20th.
Oh, you mean like an Obama re-election in 2012 where they held all the information about Benghazi in September so that the election in November could be so he could be reelected in November.
Right. They definitely did amazing job.
And they only had to do it for a few weeks.
And it's like September 11th.
Right.
And they had to do almost all of September, all of October.
Right.
So almost 2 solid months. It was about 8 weeks.
I'm going to tell you right now, folks. I mean, if you've got your finger on the pulse of the internet and technology, 2012 versus now, I feel like I'm in a whole nother world of technology. Like,
nobody knows
more connected now.
Nobody
to
knows
information.
The intrawebs better than us.
Right. So as this starts to all unfold, and CNN starts to kind of fall apart, and they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to. What do we do? Who do we get on? And it's just not working for them. Back and forth. Tucker Carlson had a Democrat operative come on Fox.
Okay.
And talk about this.
Did he invite him?
Oh, yeah, Tucker Carlson.
Okay.
I mean,
he used to be the co-host of Crossfire, which he was the conservative fall guy.
Right. Well, okay, right.
And the other guy, and I can't remember who it was the liberal who was supposed to win every day because this was on CNN.
Right.
And so the whole battling and debating he's used to. So bringing on a liberal is par for the course for him.
Right. He's back in old territory.
Right.
But as much as because I get this feeling that you don't believe in Tucker's conservatism.
I think that he was hand selected by CNN for Crossfire and this is, I actually read, this is actually a phenomenon that's actually, it's a pretty smart way to go about it. He's what they call a foil.
Okay. They've got those on The View too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you find a guy that says he's conservative, will say things like talking points and whatnot that come from conservative circles.
Okay.
But can't debate his way out of a paper bag.
Because he's not really conservative. He
may be,
okay.
But he's just not very good at debating. So he is there to act as the foil for the Democrats to win the debate every episode. And by the way, that was Alan Combs. Sean Hannity's awesome. He really is awesome. He was way too good. Alan Combs just could not hold his jockstrap. So it looked very one-sided on Hannity and Combs every day.
If you ever listen to Combs' radio show, no.
He
It's no joke.
He doesn't believe anymore. I think he's a conservative now.
Is he? Because
he says it, and you could look him right in the eye, and you go, "You don't believe a word you just said, do you?" And he
might say, "Yeah."
He might say, "I really don't, but I just got to say it." Just got to say it.
Well, he's been trolled so many times on his radio show. People will call up and just troll him.
That's so sad. Or is it? He deserves it.
I think so. So here's Tucker. Here's Tucker Carlson with Democrat operative.
Well, just 10 days left until the election, and Hillary Clinton once again under investigation by the FBI. We learned last night.
Oh, by the way, that sets a new record. Nobody running for president of the United States has ever been under investigation by the FBI, and nobody has ever been under the investigation of the FBI twice. So she's now set 2 brand new records.
And it threw this race into turmoil. How are Democrats responding? Joining us now is Fox News contributor and Democratic strategist Richard Fowler. Richard, it's great to see you this morning.
Morning,
so
Tucker.
We learned that apparently tens of thousands of relevant emails, presumably containing information that should not have been public, wound up on Anthony Weiner's laptop. Is there a pure distillation of the recklessness with which the Hillary people and Hillary herself handled information than this?
I love how he put that question. Pure distillation of pure recklessness.
He actually put a couple of words together that sound pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think we know that this was reckless. I think the FBI Director Comey said this when he dismissed the charges against Hillary Clinton. What makes this story so problematic, in my opinion, Tucker, is that here's the thing. None of these emails are actually from Hillary. We found that in reporting last night. These are emails that are from Huma Abedin to other members of the State Department that were on Anthony Weiner's personal cell phone. Mind you, I think the facts are pretty clear here that Huma Abedin and Anthony Weiner are married. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure most people share phones.
I mean, the facts, in fact, aren't clear at all. We don't know that at all.
We don't know if they're married? What is that?
No, the facts are clear. See, this Democrat operative is making up stuff.
Okay.
We do not know that none of these emails pertain to Hillary Clinton. There is no fact.
I see the wordplay that you're saying here, and that makes sense.
There is no fact that Hillary Clinton's name is not involved in any of these emails.
Right.
That is a fact. We don't know.
We don't know that. Well, isn't it safe to say that? Well,
of course it's safe to say because Huma is more married to Hillary than Weiner.
Oh, wow. So we are calling into question. Okay, legally speaking, I think they may in fact be married. Is that fact clear? Well, Tucker Carlson said the facts aren't clear after he said that they're married.
I know they're separated, but I don't know if they were technically married.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
Someone on Twitter said that, but it doesn't make it true. We actually don't know what's in these emails. We have no idea.
No, that's not true. I think there's a lot of reporters have already confirmed that there's no Hillary Clinton emails here.
Okay, look, there has been no confirmation from the Department of Justice, from the FBI, from Hillary, or from anybody that this is true. Some reporters said it on Twitter. Look, think of the things that we have believed to be true over the last 6 months that have turned out not to be true.
At the FBI said that these emails none of these emails are from Hillary Clinton.
Okay, hold on a second. Between the bickering and arguing, I love the pause button over here because we have control.
Right.
Tucker and the Dem operative getting into a bit of a sparring match.
I lost what they're even arguing about.
Tucker says...
Sounds like Tucker's trying to defend Hillary Clinton.
No, Tucker said, just because some reporter tweeted this information does not make it so.
Okay.
And the Dem operative is, no. People on the inside in the FBI reported to my reporting.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So we do know
sources inside the FBI. Okay. Now, let me give you a heads up, folks. Sources inside the FBI just received tens of thousands of emails on Friday.
Okay.
Today is Sunday. It's 3 days.
Right.
If maybe 2.5 days. How many emails could you and I and a team of juggernauts
go through?
How many? Yeah, how many emails could you and I with massive copious amounts of caffeine IV'd into our system so that we are fully alert for 48 hours? How many emails could we get through and confirm that not one says Hillary?
Oh, that's a very tough statement to make. So it would. I couldn't.
WikiLeaks can't do it that fast, and they got an arsenal of people working on it.
We would need a very. How many emails?
Tens of thousands. They don't even know how many.
I would imagine it would take at least 1,000 people to do this within a 48-hour period.
So 1,000 people,
at least.
Each one of them.
They don't have 1,000 people.
Each one of them. No. They don't have the budget for something like that.
You'd need to rent out a gymnasium and put desks in there like it was the 60s or something like that.
Oh, if you think about that, I mean, max occupancy. You'd have to go down to the stadium for the football fields and line up chairs and give everybody 100 pages.
It would look like the FBI from Catch Me If You Can.
Right.
With the desks all in a row and all lined up and everything.
Okay, logistically, to put something like that together.
Yeah, they would have to have it already ready to go. People would have to be trained, sat at their seat, and say, here's your 100 or 200 or 300 emails that you have to be completed going through within a 48-hour period, being able to answer yes or no, is Hillary in any of these emails.
And we've printed them all tens of thousands are already printed.
Is it electronic? They probably got electronic.
Okay, then you need somebody to slice the pie up to give everybody their section.
Right. Uh-huh.
How long would that take to slice the pie up into hundreds?
You just give it to everybody, the whole thing to everybody, and you assign them, okay, you do email blank to blank.
Okay.
See, I'm telling you how it's done.
And I've proven that this Democrat operative is a liar.
I would say, I don't know if you've proven it, but you've cast a lot of serious doubt.
Liar. That's what the judge had to say. So here's a little bit more of this knucklehead.
And I think that's been pretty clear. I said reporters who have sources in the FBI.
Look, I'm just saying, we don't know.
And number two, and most importantly, Tucker, in this whole scenario, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Green Party, Independent, Tea Party, I really don't care. With 11 days before this election, I think the American people deserve to know, the American voters deserve to know what are on these emails, and I think it's time for the FBI to say what they have.
Okay, what the American people deserve to know is that justice is impartial, and the people are not treated differently because they're more famous or richer or more powerful.
I agree.
Okay. So now you know. Am I getting to this whole nutshell here?
Well, what Brian has just exposed here with this guy speaking to Tucker Carlson if you add that to our soundbite earlier in the show, we have a theme, a common soundbite, a common narrative that has been created for the Democrat Party, for the Hillary campaign, in order to combat this new Friday dump of the emails. The server gate is going to be reopened by the FBI. This is the narrative.
You can't handle the truth!
The new narrative is...
You can't handle the truth!
Thank you, Mr. Nicholson. So, the new narrative is that we have to act like we demand to see the documents in order to plant the seed in the public's head that, oh, there really must not be anything, because even the Democrats are demanding to see the emails. So obviously they must know that there's nothing to see here. It's totally nothing incriminating whatsoever. They know it. And that clearly Comey is hiding these in order to cast a false belief that there is incriminating evidence in there. And that's what they're doing.
It's like when your friend in school says, "Oh man, I just heard that you got to go to the principal's office," and you're like,
"Oh,
you're like, what? What do you mean you heard I got to go?" "Yeah, I just overheard the teacher saying that she's got to get you. She's got to tell you to go to the office." "Well, what did I do? What did they say I did?"
"No, what did you do?"
I didn't do nothing, man." well, why are you going?" "I don't know. I didn't do nothing. They messed up. They're lying about me is what they're doing." The teacher says you got to go. "I don't got to go." "For what?" "Well, he'll tell you when you get up there." "Well, they ain't got nothing on me."
Okay.
Like that never happened.
Oh, I'm sure that happened all the time.
To me.
Yeah. They got nothing on me.
They got nothing on me, folks.
Oh.
Okay, so did you hear about the new rule in the Clinton campaign? Anybody
Anybody what?
Anybody involved in the Clinton campaign can no longer be...
Liar.
They cannot do this.
Well, she used a private server and personal address as Secretary of State. But if you work for Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, no personal email for you. A copy of her employee handbook now exposed after being hacked. It says in part, staff provided email account for campaign business use only. Employees can't use personal email addresses, Gmail, iCloud, etc. to conduct campaign business.
So it got hacked.
Yes.
So they would have been better off if they just used Gmail.
Right. Don't ask Podesta about that one.
Oh, is Podesta? His was Gmail.
His was all Gmail. Completely
But they
hacked.
didn't hack Gmail for
Yes.
it. They hacked Gmail?
Yeah, they got all his Gmails.
Oh,
all
that's
his stuff.
because his password was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, what's the next number?
No, that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Was there a letter?
You need the soundbite of Spaceballs when he said, "What kind of idiot makes that the password?" The kind of password an idiot would use on his luggage. That's what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
So no longer, if you work for the Clinton campaign, no longer are you allowed to use personal email at all.
I mean, it sounds like it makes sense, but what if their campaign servers aren't secure?
Well, see, that's the thing. They hacked the Clinton Foundation, and they hacked the DNC. They hacked the Gmail accounts. I mean, it's all hackable. Okay, now getting to the whole crux of all of this, and I'm going to throw some cold water on it. You thought you knew where we were going with this, and who was wrong and who was right?
Mm-hmm.
My favorite gal in the world, Judge Jeanine Pirro. It's a little bit of a long soundbite, but she's got some really incredible information, and she's going to expose the inner workings of the FBI because she was a former judge. I don't think she's still a judge. She's a former judge, but a talk show host now.
I think once a judge, always a judge.
Okay. All right. And this is what she had to say about this entire thing. I'll stop it about halfway through and we'll talk about what she's talking about. But here, listen to the judge and how she talks about the FBI.
FBI Director Jim Comey's announcement yesterday that he would again look into Hillary Clinton's emails after he announced on July 5th the conclusion of that very investigation, saying no reasonable prosecutor would indict 11 days before one of the most hotly contested presidential elections of our time both disgraces and politicizes the FBI and is symptomatic of all that is wrong in Washington. Now, you know I support...
Okay. What she just said, that what Comey did was unprecedented and should have never been done.
What else was he supposed to do? Just ignore it completely?
There's a rule that the FBI has that they do not come out with information that could affect an election within 60 days of the election.
So you're making a case for him not indicting. Sort of.
Making a case for him not coming out of the closet. Or the way he came out was inappropriate and political.
Well, what I'm saying is if they have a thing where they don't release information within 60 days of an election that would affect the outcome of the election, couldn't he extrapolate that rule to also include not indicting or do any kind of action whatsoever
within 60 days, right?
So maybe that was his rationale for not indicting, right?
Back in July?
Yeah. Was that not within 60 days?
No. Now, the judge gets a little personal here. Listen up.
Donald Trump, and I want him to win. But whether it's Hillary Clinton or anyone else, Comey's actions violate not only long-standing Justice Department policy, the directive of the person that he works under, the Attorney General, but even more important, the most fundamental rules of fairness and impartiality.
I kind of disagree with her on that a little bit because I think this is information the public needs to know.
Well,
about a president.
We already talked about it earlier in the show. The alternative is to wait till right after, let's say, I know she's going to lose in a landslide. Even without this information, I really felt like she was going to lose in a landslide. Anyway, I think people are going to go down in history and falsely attribute her loss to this. I think she was going to go down in a landslide anyway. But let's say that she wins, okay?
She can pardon herself and put all these...
Well, what I'm saying is if Comey were to come out with this information at any time afterwards, and we then eventually found out that he knew about this before the election, there's going to be a huge firestorm that's going to erupt over the fact that he withheld information that could have helped, like, he affects the election either way.
Could you imagine her winning?
Omission is definitely.
Right. Could you imagine her winning and sometime in the American spring?
Whoa, you mean spring in America?
Right. Spring in America. Sometime in the spring, we find out, all the Trumpsters, everybody Trump, finds out not only was there all kinds of crazy voter fraud, but the FBI withheld critical information that, first off, she's incompetent to even run to begin with.
She has absolutely no ability to be sitting at the...
And should have been indicted back in July.
She should be in jail.
She wasn't, and everybody in the world was appalled that she wasn't indicted. Now he comes out with information that he withheld. Say we didn't know about this. That it shows that she really is the crooked criminal that she is. But this comes out in the spring. I bet you see an uprising.
Or in the middle of the winter or any time after the election.
I call it because the Arab Spring.
Oh, you like to refer to the spring. I see what you did there.
The uprising.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay, so we're going to be accused of inciting violence.
No. I'm just saying, these are all hypotheticals. But while I was listening to that soundbite and you were talking, I just had a glimpse of, is this crazy? But could this be a plant? If Hillary loses, she can blame this?
Yeah, but what is she going to do about it? They'll say, you better shut up or we're going to indict you. And meanwhile, Trump, if he becomes president, I mean, he promised that he's going to put a special team together.
Yes, he said, I'm going to put a special prosecutor together. Okay, so here's where the judge goes and where she gets real personal about this whole decision.
10 years ago, when I was the Republican conservative candidate for New York Attorney General, in the home stretch of a statewide campaign, the Justice Department and the FBI violated their own policy against making public statements that would affect an election and announced to the press that they were opening an investigation of me. It was mean-spirited, and of course, nothing came of it, except the adverse publicity cost me at the polls. What was done to me in 2006 was wrong, and what happened to Hillary Clinton yesterday was equally wrong. The Justice Department and the FBI's policy to not comment publicly about politically sensitive investigations within 60 days of an election exists for a very important reason. Announcements so close to elections have an impact. Now, this nation has already gone through an exhausting and traumatic campaign season. The FBI director should not.
So what is that?
Dude, she's railing. I think she got too personal.
Something happened to her.
She's projecting a little bit.
Well, something happened to her during her election campaign for Attorney General, and she felt like she was done wrong, and now she's feeling it through because of what's happening to Hillary. I think it's BS. I think that if you can't avoid the FBI, I think it should be totally nonpartisan. I think the FBI director should be very, very careful as to whether or not he releases information or whatever in an untimely way with regards to elections. He should not be responsible for adversely affecting an election. Let's just start with that statement. The FBI director should not be responsible for affecting an election.
Okay.
Information coming out about Hillary that her investigation is going to be reopened is not Comey's fault. Hillary Clinton should behave herself in a manner that would allow her to be able to get through a damn presidential campaign without being indicted by the FBI. This is not on Comey. This is on Hillary Clinton, the criminal. If you're a criminal, guess what? You're going to have a lot of interested FBI agents on your butt. And that's what happened to Hillary Clinton. And they're going to try to blame Comey. And Janine, what is wrong with you? Come on. Don't you blaming Comey? Whose fault is it that he has to make decisions like this?
It's her fault.
Right. Do you think he wanted to be like, oh, you know what I'm going to do today? I woke up today. I'm going to go ahead and put my 2 cents into this election. I'm going to sway it. No, he's got a job to do. And if Hillary Clinton's behavior, no matter when it happened, causes Comey to do something that's going to adversely affect the campaign in any way, shape, or form, or affect it positively or negatively for either side or whichever side, you can't make it sound like it was his decision to input himself into it. All he's doing is his job. He could be a computer. Something could happen, and a computer could be programmed to deal with that happening. And if the result that the computer spits out adversely affects the election, then whose fault is it? The computer? What a bad computer. operating the way he is in such an untimely manner. No, the computer took the data in, processed it, and spit it out when it was ready.
Okay, let me ask you this, just a hypothetical. I'm running for president of the United States, and we're 2 weeks out, and the FBI just so happens to be investigating you.
Me.
For something.
Okay.
For whatever. And they come across documents that I was an actual hitman and did murder people.
Okay.
Do you think they should not come out and say that?
I would say yes, because them not letting the public know that they found evidence that you're a murderer doesn't make you not a murderer. The public, the voters, if you will, the constituency or whatever, they're voting for a non-murderer. Why? Because they don't know that you actually are a murderer.
Right. So these emails, first and foremost, show that Huma Abedin is possibly, I mean, it's got to go through trial and they got to prove it and all, but it looks right now that Huma Abedin has sent classified emails through an unsecured server and may wind up doing prison time. However, if she holds on to emails of Hillary Clinton's, she can claim immunity to the FBI and say, hey, look, I've got stuff on Hillary.
How about, let's see what Richard Nixon has to say about it, see if he has anything to say. I don't know if he does or not, but we'll see.
I want to say this to the television audience. I made my mistakes, but in all of my years of public life, I have never profited from public service. I've earned every cent. And in all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice. And I think, too, that I can say that in my years of public life, that I welcome this kind of examination, because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook.
Boom! Just like that. The people need to know whether or not their president is a crook.
Right. Everything he just said is everything Hillary is. She's a crook. She's a criminal. She's profited off her public life by not being a servant, but by lying, cheating, and stealing money from foreign governments, from the taxpayers, from foreign countries, funneled through the Clinton Foundation. This is the most corrupt individual that we have right now in public life.
Yeah, and to sit there and make it sound like that Comey shouldn't have come out with this is going against even what Richard Nixon said, which is the people deserve to know whether or not either he said they're president, because he was president at the time, but a candidate that they may vote to become president. They deserve to know whether or not that person is a crook.
And she was under investigation one time before.
And the only reason she stopped being under investigation is because Comey is clearly a massive part of the corruption.
Right.
How do you... And it was even a cry for help. He didn't want to do that. He didn't want to throw everything out the window, the baby out with the bathwater, all that, by coming up with this new precedent that as long as you don't intend to break the law, then you didn't.
No, I didn't. I had no intention. I had no intentions whatsoever. I mean, she did her thing, but I did my thing. You know, I don't know what you're talking about. Here's a soundbite back and forth. This is back when Comey originally did
There
his thing.
have been questions about my email, so I want to address that directly.
I'm here to give you an update on the FBI's investigation of Secretary Clinton's use of a personal email system during her time as Secretary of State.
Okay, this is just a minute and a half long, and it's juxtaposition. It goes one to the other, and these are multiple sound bites from Hillary Clinton throughout the year, and this is just the single soundbite from Comey up on the stand.
Opted for convenience to use my personal email account, which was allowed.
They were extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information.
She had 15... Convenience, let's throw that out the door. Liar. You had convenience and you...
Liar.
Right. You had 15 cell phones. Multiple cell phones were purchased at local Walmarts and convenience stores because you would lose your cell phone. Unsecured cell phones at all times. She always had to have a BlackBerry. That's why they'd go to the mall, they'd go to a Walmart, they would find her another BlackBerry to use. Just inconceivable.
I thought it would be easier to carry just one device.
She also used numerous mobile devices to send and to read email.
We went through a thorough process to identify all of my work-related emails.
The lawyers doing the sorting for Secretary Clinton in 2014 did not individually read the content of all of her emails.
And
okay, we're not even halfway through the soundbite and blood is shooting out of my eyes. Okay, you're talking about her going through all her emails, 50,000, 80,000, whatever they were, and she claimed they read them all. Lawyers went through them all. It was already debunked. That wasn't physically possible.
No.
FBI, I don't even think they actually went through the emails as well. I don't think they did. I think there's still stones unturned.
Deliver them to the State Department.
It's highly likely that their search missed some work-related emails,
so that the emails were immediately captured and preserved.
There was no archiving at all of her emails.
That was my obligation. I fully fulfilled it.
They deleted all emails they did not produce to state, and the lawyers then cleaned their devices in such a way as to preclude complete forensic.
Okay, they used bleach bit, and Trump said she bleached them.
With acid wash or something.
He said, she said, which is technically a term that they use.
Yeah, they made fun of him.
They were cracking on him.
Yeah, they're trying to make fun of him.
Dude, Trump is always right.
There were no security breaches.
It is possible that hostile actors gained access.
There is no classified materials.
110 emails contained classified information at the time they were sent or received.
I'm certainly well aware of the classification requirements and did not send classified material.
Even if information is not marked classified in an email, participants who know or should know that the subject matter is classified are still obligated to protect it.
At the time, this didn't seem like an issue.
None of these emails show any kind of unclassified system.
All right, so this was the cry for help. He was saying this in his speech where he eventually went on to say that we're not going to charge her because of all these illegal activities that she's clearly done. We couldn't find any evidence of intent. And it kind of harkens back to Dave Chappelle and his wisdom. And let's see if I can find it here. Oh, there we go.
Sorry, officer. I didn't know I couldn't do that.
So that was
sorry about
that. That was Dave Chappelle's take on it.
Oh, sorry, officer. I didn't know.
I didn't know I couldn't do that.
That's exactly what she said.
Yeah, and then Comey was like, "Ooh, I didn't know she was going to come at me with that. What do I do? Well, let's see if we can find evidence that she did know she couldn't do that." And guess what? He didn't, and didn't realize that he didn't need to.
Well, and that's the thing that I was talking about earlier. He laid out a litany of things that happened. Those things that happened were illegal. All he had to do was put together a case and present that to the grand jury. Not one subpoena was given out.
Sorry, officer.
Oh, sorry about that.
Not one subpoena. Multiple people pleaded the fifth. And not only that, they were given plea deals. And part of the plea deal was that they were allowed to personally destroy their own computers that they had.
How does that happen?
That was part of the plea deal. You could destroy your own laptops.
That had to have been an accident.
Whatever. It was part of the plea deal. What about the fact? It is a fact. Hammers were used to break cell phones.
Well, they need to be careful because it's very, 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 very difficult, but it is possible to get some data back from broken hard drives. Extremely difficult.
But you got forensics now that are just so incredible. You would literally have to melt it to not retrieve it or wave a magnet. They should have waved a very powerful earth magnet over that.
Oh, do they do the magnets on the? Is it magnetic on the hard drive disks? Because some of them are, yeah, it might be. Like the solid state's not.
Right. Okay. Well, maybe they're dealing with solid state.
They might be
then.
dealing with solid state.
Okay.
Might be possibly. So, but no.
Or just use BleachBit.
BleachBit will literally go through all the ones and zeros and switch them all to zeros. So there really isn't any data on there. So anyway.
So painful. CNN is spinning and spinning and spinning. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. What is their plan of action? How do you pretend like you're working for CNN? What would be your modus operandi? What do we do?
You mean if their goal is to get her elected?
Correct.
The next thing to do is I think they cracked a little bit here by reporting on, well, they're interviewing Republicans
Right.
or Trump supporters more specifically. If I were them, I'd be bringing on rhinos, the never Trumpers.
Oh.
If they want to bring on a conservative,
Right.
it should be like Ben Shapiro.
So he'll now work for CNN.
Yeah, he's still. I don't really understand his never Trump, the non-support, because every single liberal position he destroys. But then when you bring up Trump, he's like, "Oh, we shouldn't be electing him."
Right. So did you hear about Huma?
What about her?
She said, "I have no idea how that happened.
What happened?
How those emails got on that computer. I have no idea."
Oh, Wiener's computer.
Yeah, I got no idea.
That's a good question. Wiener, he's not a part of the Hillary campaign, or like he's unemployed, isn't he?
Pretty much. When he got kicked out of running for office, he actually got to keep the money that he raised to run for office.
Oh my
and
God.
he ran again for office because by law he had to use that money somehow to run for office because he was given X amount of dollars.
I thought you could keep that after you're done.
Well, you could, but if you were given government matching money,
oh yeah,
you have to run. You can't just say, "Oh, I took all this money and now I'm not going to run." He took all the money and then he ran a really pathetic campaign. And so when he lost, it was over. He could keep what was left.
But they didn't let him do that. They made him run again.
No, that was the second time.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
the second time.
Yeah.
Okay. So he kind of just went through the motions.
Yes, knowing that it wasn't going to even be possible, but you keep the money in the end. That was the thing. Wiener then got a job with a PR firm, a public relations firm.
Well, I guess if you do things wrong enough times, you'd eventually learn what doesn't work, and then you can advise others.
They let him go.
Oh, they fired him?
Yeah, he was there for about 2 weeks. Didn't work.
2 weeks?
Yeah, it didn't work out.
This is that guy, this is like some of the employees you see on Hidden Boss or whatever it's called.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Like he's that guy that ends up getting fired.
Right. So, Loretta Lynch.
Yeah?
She's pleading the fifth.
How? Isn't she the...
I don't know how.
Who's going after her? Is Comey going after her?
She's going to be questioned. And what we're seeing right now is that she is going to plead the fifth.
Okay. So she obviously knows that she has self-incriminating things that she doesn't want to answer. By the way, I think a lot of people don't understand what pleading the fifth means. All it means is you don't have to testify anything. You don't have to answer questions that incriminate yourself. You don't have to self-incriminate yourself.
Correct.
That doesn't mean that you are allowed to not be put up on the stand at all. If somebody asks you a question where the answer to it, there's no way to answer it truthfully without incriminating yourself, then you can plead the fifth at that moment. But you shouldn't be allowed to say, well, I know you want to ask me some questions and you want to subpoena me and you want me to get up on the stand, but I'm going to bypass all of that by just pleading the fifth now to all of it.
Right. So
that should not be allowed.
So check this out. This is a website called Zero Hedge.
Oh, yeah. That's becoming a really popular website.
Love it.
If you're listening to us, you should go ahead and read that.
Oh, yeah. Tyler Durden.
Oh, it sounds familiar.
That's who wrote this article,
Okay.
Tyler Durden.
Okay.
DOJ's Loretta Lynch tried to squash Comey's letter to Congress. And he writes, last night a leaked memo was revealed indicating FBI Director James Comey's stated reasons for reopening the Clinton email probe upon discovering what now appears to be tens of thousands of Huma Abedin's emails located on Anthony Weiner's notebook. Comey revealed two core reasons for the action: a sense of obligation to lawmakers and a concern that word of the new email discovery would leak to the media and raise questions of me covering up stuff. What he did not reveal, and as has emerged overnight from a report by the New Yorker's Jane Mayer, is that Comey also acted in contradiction to DOJ practices, and more importantly, acted contrary to the preference of the DOJ, the head of Loretta Lynch, whose infamous meeting with Bill Clinton on the Phoenix tarmac at the end of July will likely be released in the light of these latest revelations. He's saying that she's involved in this to suppress this, to divert this, and she's going to wind up having to plead the fifth because she's going to incriminate herself and the Clintons.
Well, they all need to go down hard.
If you read the entire article, it just goes, and we've talked about where Loretta Lynch comes from. Chicago.
They're all Chicago. They're all Chicago. What is up with Chicago? We should just drag the border down and give it to Canada.
Oh. They can have Michigan and Chicago.
No, just Chicago.
Well, I'd give them Michigan, too. That's despot.
They may actually vote for Trump. Did you hear about that? We're going to get into that?
Yeah.
We got good news to finish off
we.
this show.
And we talked about this last week about how the possibility of a landslide.
Yeah, how many months ago, months and months ago, I predicted on the show that Trump, and this is my dark horse. My dark horse is that Trump will win New York State. He's been trailing by more than 20 points in New York State forever. So for him to pull that off would be the most massive upset. But I think there's a lot of people in New York City who are secretly Trump fans because that's their hometown boy.
Oh yeah. No, I agree 100%. I agree 100%.
So are we getting into the
Sure.
Okay. So if you guys don't follow him already, Niskey on YouTube, that's his channel name, Niskey, came out with a video that talks about the Michigan, and that Trump looks like he may pull off in a very, very, very close election. He may actually squeak out Michigan.
So do you think Michiganites have finally woken up?
Well, I think Michael Moore might have a little bit to say about that. Did you hear the Michael Moore video?
Oh, I sure did.
Did you know what the truth is about it?
You want to play a minute of it?
You could play a minute of it, and yeah. I'll let you guys know.
It's 4 minutes long, but I'll play the first minute.
It's fine.
I know a lot of people in Michigan that are planning to vote for Trump, and they don't necessarily like him that much, and they don't necessarily agree with him. They're not racist and rednecks, certainly. They're actually pretty decent people. And so I wanted to sort of, after talking to a number of them, I wanted to write this in. Donald Trump came to the Detroit Economic Club and stood there in front of the Ford Motor executives and said, If you close these factories, as you're planning to do in Detroit, and build them in Mexico, I'm going to put a 35% tariff on those cars when you send them back, and nobody's going to buy them. It was an amazing thing to see. No politician, Republican or Democrat, had ever said anything like that to these executives.
That's why we love him.
All right, so Michael Moore is sounding like he is endorsing Trump. If you listen to that video all the way to the end, which I know a lot of people, I've been spreading it all over Twitter, so there's a good chance you've seen it on Twitter, and conservatives, Trump supporters, whatnot, they love it. They're so happy that Michael Moore's finally come around. Everything that he said in there was absolutely truthful. I can't think of one thing where he kind of missed the mark on anything.
I was so angry at it.
Why were you
because
angry?
it was him.
Oh, yeah. Well,
there is absolutely nothing redeemable about that guy.
You would think if you look at his past, but when it turns out, and I got bad news for everybody, it turns out Brian's right. Brian's actually right.
Thank you.
Okay, so here's...
You gotta call it like you see it. When you see a dirty, rotten scoundrel, you gotta say, whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you saying?
Okay, so it turns out, if you listen to the video all the way to the end, he actually says, I will vote for the enemy of my enemy. And that man is Donald J. Trump. And he says, he uses the pronoun, I will vote for the enemy of my enemy. Turns out the entire 4.5-minute video, believe it or not, is from his new movie, Trumpland. And this excerpt, if you really listen to it twice. First, listen to it just to hear it out. And you'll be like, wow, Michael Moore, he really is for the little people. He really does feel for these guys that have been screwed over by the establishment. It sounds like it's coming right from Michael Moore's heart.
Right, and he screams when he starts to get real passionate and emotional, saying that Donald J. Trump is the Molotov cocktail, the human Molotov cocktail that these workers can hurl
at the establishment.
Yes, to destroy the establishment.
So this is gonna blow your mind. Turns out this excerpt, 4.5-minute excerpt, nonstop, unedited, from his movie Trumpland, he never really does actually say he's going to vote for Donald J. Trump. When he says, I will vote for the enemy of my enemy, I will vote for Donald J. Trump, he's saying that as a third person in first person. So he's actually saying it as one of these blue-collar workers, not as Michael Moore. And everything he says before that, he's talking about them in third person, not about himself, about them. He says they will vote for Donald Trump. They like him because of this. They are not racist. He's not talking about himself. But it turns out, and I haven't seen the movie, I had to do a lot of research of the of words of people who did see it to find out that he goes on to say that these people are wrong because even though they'll be happy at first for electing him, then they're going to have to deal with him for 4 years, and they're going to find out that it was a big mistake and that they're so he's throwing away all the dreams and hopes of the very people that he acts like he is for. The little people, the blue-collar worker, the 40-hour week worker, the people that just want the American dream. Michael Moore acts like he's for those people. Turns out he's telling you to vote for Hillary Clinton because she'll be good enough and she won't disappoint you like Trump will. And it's just mind-boggling that he has so little regard for the very people he acts like. He's exploiting them all.
Liar.
Yeah, exploiting them. So meanwhile, but here's the cool part. You ready for the good news?
I am.
The good news is that this has blown up in his face. He's, since this video, this excerpt has been taken out of context and uploaded and shared into the world, went on The View to say he's going to vote for Hillary Clinton. and that this video is blah, blah, blah. What, you know what he's thinking? He's thinking, I don't care what people think about this excerpt because it's promoting my movie, is what he thinks. Let me tell you something.
I'll never see the movie. I won't never see the movie.
People that like that video will never go and watch Trumpland.
They no reason for it.
Never.
I've listened to this. I've watched the video, which is really compelling, and I've listened to this soundbite multiple times. I love it. I even told Carrie in the car when we were headed up to Springfield, Ohio for the Trump rally, which we had press credentials, by the way.
Congratulations to us.
Thank you very much, Carrie. We talked about this on the way up, and I literally said, you know what, Carrie? I'm going to write down word for word this monologue that this scumbag said, and I'm going to redo it with my voice.
Okay.
So to be more acceptable to the people.
Okay, yeah.
But because they don't know me and I'm not that guy. I'm a champion for the little guy, not him. He is not a champion for the little guy.
But it ain't going to work because
I know.
Because everybody wants, all the conservatives want to hear a hardcore communist, socialist, Marxist liberal come around and say that I'm with you guys now because that's the righteous way. And turns out he was lying. So anyway, but here's the conclusion. Conclusion is that not only has this been a huge boost for people who may not have been on the fence about Trump. They hear this video and they're like, wow, Michael Moore, wow. I mean, this is a great 4.5 minute monologue.
And all the people that saw it, none of them watched The View.
Well, not only that, but none of them said, you know what? If you're a Trump supporter and you watch that, you did not say, I hate this because I know it's out of context. Not only did they think it was awesome, but they're sharing it. So Niskey is a channel on YouTube that you should be definitely subscribed to, Niskey. He's a young man. He looks very young. Maybe I'm just getting old, and he looks young to me. But he makes very, very good videos. He reported today on what's going on in Michigan with the absentee votes, and I think it's a great segue from Michael Moore because he's from Flint, Michigan. They are really hurting. I mean, that's where Detroit is. They're hurting.
Flint, Michigan, you can't drink the water because of all the elected officials that are all Democrat.
Oh, I thought what do they drown? They drowned in there and their bodies have decomposed in it?
They put poison in the water.
Oh, okay.
But that's what the Clintons said. They said it poisoned the water.
Okay. Well, let's see what Niskey has to say about it.
So I don't want to get your hopes up just in case things don't go the way we want on November 8th. However, there is some news that would appear that things are going the way we want, or at least are very strong in that direction. This is from the Detroit News. Michigan voters request more absentee ballots than in 2012. That's the headline. What the headline should say is that Republicans are winning absentee ballots in Michigan.
I've heard this.
Because what it says here, this is amazing how they spin this. Let me explain. Republicans have a slight lead in the amount of absentee ballots returned by likely voters in the state of Michigan. This is substantial. This is not a state where Republicans should even really have a shot in regular general elections. But then they spin it. But a larger percentage of voters identified as Democrats have returned their ballots. A larger percentage of Democrats have returned their ballots, but there are actually more ballots returned by Republicans in numbers, not percentage.
That means the numbers are going to
which is what
go
matters.
Higher,
exponential.
See how they spin that? As of Wednesday, voters identified as Republican had returned 20,624 more ballots than those believed to be Democrats. Now, Stephen Ostro, the executive director of the Michigan Republican Party, says they're winning. Over the last 3 or 4 days, the returns have really started to swing our way. That's what he says. If you break down the percentages of the total amount of absentee votes counted in Michigan, around 36% of them are Republican ballots, 32% are Democratic ballots, and 30% are independent ballots. Now, the independent ballots can go either way, but the point being, more Republicans have returned their absentee ballots than Democrats, which would appear that according to early voting, or absentee voting really, Trump is leading in Michigan. Now, I'm not trying to say he's going to win Michigan. It's extremely close. I mean, 20,000 more ballots is very close, and this is not counting really early voting or voting on Election Day. We're not there yet, of course. But here's the point. After the FBI reopened the investigation on Hillary Clinton on Friday, these swing states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, they're only going to get closer. So I think this is good news because this shows that Donald Trump has a chance at winning these swing states, which is what the media has said for months is not true.
There you go.
What I've been hearing across the board is exactly what he's saying, is that more and more ballots have been cast by Republicans and Democrats that are switching parties.
Yeah, and some of the states that have these big new numbers as far as absentee ballots and new registrations, a lot of them cannot report on whether or not they're Democrat or Republican. So you have to kind of do a little bit of extrapolation from one to the other. Now to segue to Florida, I don't have to play this because it's long and it's extremely dry. But if you're a friend or a follower of Bill Still,
and you like the numbers, you're a numbers guy. You're a dry number
you've
guy.
You've got to be a nerd to listen to this.
Which is fine. We like nerds. We like nerds. Yeah.
So, okay, what have they been saying about Florida all this time? The mainstream media. It's always reported as Clinton has a slight lead. If you look at all those colorful blue and red maps that show the swing states and the red states and the blue states, they always have Florida as being a really light, pale blue.
Right.
Which is, I always thought was complete BS. Complete. Well, it turns out, I've been telling people, this was my prediction. I've been saying this for a long time. I wish I had the audio of me saying this over and over. And I've been saying it to people in public, too. I think Trump's going to win Florida by double digits. And, of course, everybody's like, what?
Wow.
Clinton's leading by like a point or two. Like they keep making it look like it's a horse race. But in reality, I think the people that are big Trump fans are like, well, they're skewing the polls, and I think Trump is ahead a little bit in Florida. But he really needs to win, and if he does, that'll be really key, blah, 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 whatever. And there's some people who say he must win Florida. I don't think Florida's even going to be that close. I think it's going to be double digits. Well, Bill Still, which is his episode is still reporting number 1,304.
Yikes.
It's called Monster Vote Rears Its Head in Florida. And it turns out what he's done is he's taken early voting, and he's done a lot of work to it. And I thought it was fair. He described, this is why the video is so boring. He describes in meticulous detail how he came up with his numbers. And I listened to it carefully. I tried to stay awake. I took my no-dos and sucked it down with a giant bucket of cappuccino. And so what I found was it seemed like his logic was legit. And he extrapolated what data we have now based on what other information we know into the whole general election in Florida. And what he's come up with is that Trump will win 53% of the vote in Florida, 53.4 to be exact, compared to Clinton with, wait for it, 42.4, a difference of 11 percentage points. Exactly the double-digit win for Florida that I have been predicting forever. Every time these polls come out from the mainstream media that say that, ooh, Clinton, after one of Trump's worst weeks of the whole campaign,
right.
which is what they say every day. Right. Every day they start off the story with, after a whole week of one of the worst weeks of his campaign, Trump slid back to 1 point behind Clinton in Florida. It's always been BS. Always. It's never been true. It's never been accurate. Trump's going to win by double digits, and now Bill still came out with a report that gives me some actual hard data to back up my wild prediction. And so I wanted to report that to you all.
Well, right now, looking at an interactive map, I'm just kind of clicking around, looking at it. If Trump takes Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, Nevada, I mean, that's pretty much it. It's done.
Well, Nevada's been a weird state. You got to understand.
It's only six electoral college points, though.
Right, but it's been going blue for a while now. And the reason is, there's a reason.
That's a shame.
You got Harry Reid.
Despicable.
Right, he's the senator there. Okay, so here's the problem with Nevada. Normal states have cities and rural areas, right?
Right.
And
Nevada's pretty much wide open and a city.
Well, there's one giant city and one relatively small city, which is Reno. And then there might be a couple pockets of little teeny tiny towns. But there is no rural area because in between those cities is vast unoccupied deserts, most of which are giant chunks of land owned by the government.
Right.
So it's just been blue lately. You know, it's pretty much the city of Las Vegas and the city of Reno voting for president. And it just, because of the fact that cities tend to kind of go a little bit more democratic, Nevada just goes that way, as opposed to a place like Indiana, where you have Gary, Indiana, which is pretty much the south side of Chicago. You got Indianapolis, which is a very big metropolitan area, and then all these other cities. And then in between these cities is large rural areas that are actually populated with farmers and all that kind of stuff. And those people vote Republican hardcore, the rural area. And they actually end up offsetting the Democrat strongholds of the inner cities. And that's just Indiana as an example. Almost all of the states are like that. So Nevada's kind of weird. I know it's only 6 electoral college votes, but it's you'd think it would go red.
Here's the shame of it all. And if you look at the map when Romney ran, and look at the electoral college map where it's got the red and the blue, who won what and what won what. If you look and just take, I know each state is populated differently. But if you look at the states as a whole, say they're all worth 1 point, literally every Republican would probably win almost every single time. Because the Republicans usually win the majority of the number of states in the heartland.
Right.
And you got California with 55 electoral college points. 55. Oregon's got 7. Ohio, 18. I mean, Nebraska, 4.
I talked to a woman today that lived a long time in San Diego. She said if you chopped off the southern part of California below L.A.,
yeah,
she said it would go Republican.
Oh, absolutely. It's Orange County. Everybody knows if you're conservative, you move south to Orange County.
But she said San Diego, all the way down to.
Well, yeah, that's Orange County still.
Oh, okay.
All the way.
San Diego's in Orange County? I know there's a giant area between L.A.,
which is Orange County.
That's Orange County, where Camp Pendleton is and all that kind of
stuff.
Right. But she said it's San Diego included, Republican. And I always knew that the rural part of California, which is the entire eastern half of California, is Republican because that's just what rural people, that's their their lifestyle and everything kind of goes along with that. But what's that big green county there? What is that?
San Bernardino.
Okay, so San Bernardino might be Republican.
Possibly, but down here you got Orange County, you got San Diego County. I guess that's what they're calling it. And Riverside, Orange, San Diego, and Imperial. All those 4 counties right there. That's where you go to get away from the liberals. San Bernardino's been decimated from the crash of 2008. They've been hit.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of different states.
I'd imagine most of it's rural though, because it's on the eastern portion of the
it's
state.
wide open, but when you get into some of the towns that are out there, it's like everybody's boarded up.
Wow,
it's pretty bad. Anyways,
you get north of that, and it just turns into Oregon.
Right. So when you start looking at this, at the different electoral maps and things, it's just unbelievable. Giving it away to California, guaranteed giving it away 55 points. New York State giving it away, guaranteed.
I don't know.
That's what they're saying.
My bold prediction. I know he's 20 points behind, and the last person to win New York that was a Republican was Ronald Reagan. Yeah, Reagan won New York, which is, well, it seems shocking now. And if you look at the statistics, go to Wikipedia because they are so accurate.
Right.
If you go and look at all the election stats from the past 30, 40, 50 years, you'll see that things were a lot different in New York. That people liked Ronald Reagan and they voted for him. And there are other Republicans, too, that New York liked. And even when it went blue, it was close.
Well, even California, when Ronnie was the governor of California, California was a whole nother world. Yeah. Now, they've been destroyed just as Michigan been destroyed.
Right.
It's been taken over by the Communist Party, the Democrats.
Right.
So something to kind of fuel what we're saying and give more credibility to what we're saying about a possible landslide. I said earlier in the show, but I'm going to say it again. There's a 30% of voters out there that were going to vote Democrat. They're now less likely to vote Democrat and less likely to support Hillary after this FBI announcement. That was from Fox News. They just released that today on Sunday. That's really damning for the Democrat Party. You've also got North Carolina. Apparently, some of the polls there say that North Carolina is tied. If it's tied, I'm saying it's going to Trump because two things. One, the monster vote. People that haven't never voted before. This is their first time voting. People that are registered to vote and have never voted before. They're fed up and they're finally waking up and they're coming out to vote. And then Democrats are voting for Trump like never before. And this week,
I got one more for you too.
This week released African American vote.
They've been all over the board with the mainstream media.
If Trump can get 25% of the black vote in America, it will be a guaranteed landslide. I'm not saying I don't think he has to have that, but if he hits 25%, it'll be a landslide. Right now, Trump has 19% of the black vote.
Oh, that's a landslide right
which
there.
Is the largest in almost 60 years.
Okay, well, I got one more for you. During the primary, Donald Trump, on all of his wins, and he didn't win every one. There was that group right there around March and April where Trump went into a little bit of a slump there because there were several states he lost.
I know my tires were slipping and sliding. I was getting nervous. It's like, what the hell's going on?
So every single one of the primaries that he won by more than what the polls predicted he was going to win by.
Huh?
Yeah, he outperformed all of his polls in all of his wins.
So is this what our professor friend...
Oh, yeah, let's talk about the professors. There's two of them. We have two professors. Both of them have they have prediction models for how they predict who's going to win the presidential election. So let's start with none other than...
Helmet?
Well, this is from Yahoo, shockingly. Breaking news reporter in Yahoo, Caitlin Dickerson. Professor who's correctly called every presidential election since 1984 predicts that Trump will win. She writes, Hillary Clinton may still be ahead in most national polls, which we all know is BS, but at least one expert, so one expert in the entire world.
Yahoo found one in the world.
Yeah. One expert remains convinced. The last remaining guy convinced.
Although scientific evidence overwhelmingly proves him wrong.
That Donald Trump will be our next president. So this guy's from American University, and his name is Professor Alan J. Lichtman. And he is currently, he has accurately predicted the winner of every presidential election since 1984. First forecast of victory for the GOP nominee during an interview with the Washington Compost last month. That was a little while ago, last month. And back
So
then it was like,
hold on. So a month ago he predicted this.
Yes. And of course it didn't make news, but now we're 10 days out, 9 days out, 8 days out.
It's closer. It's more of a reality now that what he was saying a month ago.
But not only that, they followed up with him and he said,
yeah,
I'm sticking with it. So granted, this was before the release of the now infamous Access Hollywood tape, followed by mounting allegations of sexual misconduct.
Well, in Trump's worst week ever in his entire life.
His worst year ever. Which Trump, now check this out. I love the way they lie. Trump has attempted to counter these claims with claims that the election is rigged and that the media is conspiring against him.
That's despicable. Why would he say that? That's despicable.
No, that's a lie. The truth is that he countered those claims of the mounting allegations by debunking them. They're debunked.
Okay.
That's how he countered them. All right, meanwhile, a tense presidential debate concluded with the suggestion from Trump that he might not accept the outcome of the election if he is not the winner. Well, yeah, but we have actual, real, solid reason to not accept it.
Right.
Anyway, despite all this, however, Lichtman has not wavered from his prediction. Quote, by the narrowest of possible margins, the keys still point to a Trump victory, he told the Compost this week. As Lichtman noted in his latest interview, he is not a psychic, nor does he look into a crystal ball. Rather, his projections are based on a unique system that relies on 13 true-false questions, or what he calls keys, to evaluate the strength of the incumbent party. So basically what he does, he has these 13 questions that he has to answer true or false, and those become keys to decide who's going to win or lose.
Right.
And it turns out that 6 of those 13 keys came up false for the party in power, which at this point is the Democrat Party, and the party holding the White House, and is the predicted loser. Any 6 or more is what he said. So until last month, he said the Democratic Party, I call it the Democrat Party, only had 5 keys against it. The final key that led Lichtman to make his prediction that Trump will win was third-party candidate, in this case the Libertarian candidate, Gary Johnson, to get 5% or more of the vote. This is interesting. There's a bunch of people. Niski said it. We didn't play it, or did we play it?
No, we didn't. We talked about it before the show.
Yeah. So it turns out the 12% that he was trying to get the 15% so he could be a part of the debates, which would have been comedy gold, because this guy is a nut job. He's beyond incompetent. But anyway, turns out what everybody's saying, everybody on the right is reporting this, and they're dead on accurate, and that is that the combined total of all third-party candidates will add up to less than 5% of the vote. Bill Still, he reported in the very report that I told you guys to go watch that he predicted 11-point victory for Trump for Florida, that this third party vote is shrinking down to almost nothing. It's going to be like couple percent.
Really?
That's what he said, yeah. Now, that being said, this professor also says, yes, it'll be below 5%, and that becomes one of the keys against the incumbent party, which is why he now predicts that it's going to be a Trump win.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
The other professor you're going to get to in a second, he made the comment that it is very unlikely and extremely difficult for an incumbent party that's been in for 2 terms for 8 years.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult for them to win again unless everything's going good.
Yeah, and
we've got a really bad economy, and things are falling apart. And I just want to get that part that the last professor said, Lichtman, that he Lichtman made the comment about the rigged system. Did he make the comment, or did
not that I know of it.
The Yahoo article made the comment?
Oh yeah, that was the author of the article.
Okay, about the rigged system. Just real quick before we get to the second professor, this is a Democrat montage. It's a minute long. It's a Democrat montage of the rigged system.
The thing that has most animated this election on the Democratic side has been the sense of a rigged system.
The game is rigged against them.
So there's a sense the game is rigged.
This is what a rigged economy is about.
Rigged system.
They'll do anything to rig the system for those at the top.
The game is rigged against a lot of people who have done their dev level best.
That the system is rigged.
People say the game is rigged.
Keeps the system rigged for those at the top.
The system is rigged.
Their obstruction is keeping a system that is rigged.
The game is rigged.
We must fix an economy in America that is rigged.
The game is rigged.
Yeah, Hillary's in the back.
Right.
A rigged economy.
The game is rigged.
And the economy is rigged.
The American people know that the system is rigged against them.
The system rigged against the middle class.
All I know, it is rigged, and it's still rigged.
Too many people feel like the system is rigged.
People say the game is rigged.
How the game is rigged.
Our economy is rigged.
People feel like the system is rigged against them. And here's the painful part. They're right.
You know, the system, folks, is rigged. It's a rigged system.
Notice how they didn't play a single Trump saying it's rigged until the very, very end, which we know that's been not only a theme for him for a while, but now he's hitting on it hard because that very theme is causing his poll numbers to go up. But here's why. It's not because he's saying it and it hits the heart and the emotions of people. No, because it's right. It's the truth. And that's all people want is the truth. And if you're going to say the truth, your poll numbers are going to go up.
Democrat, Republican, Independent, whoever you are, across the board, if you've got a sane mind, you've got to be normal, okay? But if you're just a normal average Joe and you've been pulling the lever for the Democrats for years because that's what you were told to do, you are sitting at home right now in front of the TV saying, oh, this is rigged. I don't want that woman as the candidate because she's a criminal and the system's rigged and you know it. All you Bernie supporters feeling the burn.
Oh my gosh, how could you not be absolutely verified at this point?
Trump saying that Bernie made a deal with the devil.
Oh boy. Well, I mean that's true too.
There's no lie about it.
See him driving around in that Lamborghini or whatever he had.
What?
Yeah. So anyway, so this whole thing about it being rigged is actually projection on the Democrats' part. But so yeah, that it's true. I mean, I'm hoping that Trump can change things around and slash things and shake up the entire D.C. area and get rid of the system that has been rigged against the people for the benefit of the elites that get elected and they just glad hand each other. And it's horrible that we have to live through this. So anyway, there's another professor that also predicted a big win for. Actually, he's reporting that there's a high probability of a Trump victory, and he predicted correctly the last 5 elections, and he's picking Trump. So his name is Professor Helmut Norpoth. He doesn't rely on polls, but rather his primary model. You can actually check this out yourself at primarymodel.com, and it's a very simple website that kind of explains the whole thing. But he's a college professor in New York who's predicted every election correctly since 1996 and is confident that Donald Trump will win in 2016. By the way, I actually like this model better because it's stupid simple. It's so simple.
And he used this model to go back to the early 1900s.
Yeah.
And it worked with all the past elections.
It's almost damn near universal. All the way back to like what, 19 teens.
Yeah, early 19s, yeah.
Yeah. So Stony Brook University political science professor Helmut Norpoth predicts Trump will win 52.5% of the two-party vote, leaving Hillary with only 47.5%, which it doesn't divide up that perfectly because there's going to be a third-party stuff. Right. Norpoth says on his website, primarymodel.com, that there is an 87 to 99% chance that Donald Trump will be president.
Whoa. I saw the 87. You're saying he's claiming between 87 and 99.
Right. The model tracks how the candidates are performing. he doesn't go by regular polls. Well, that right there is probably the number one reason why he's accurate.
If it was an honest primary, Bernie would have won.
You think? Because some were arguing that, well, it doesn't matter if he didn't get all the super delegates.
I'm telling you, right, when we talked about this on the run-up, we've been doing this for years now, folks.
Yeah.
There were literally 600 to 0 at the starting gate.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Clinton had 600 to Bernie's nothing at the start.
At the starting gate. So I know what you're saying. If it looked like Bernie had a chance, he would have gotten more support.
Oh, absolutely. And then people saw him as an underdog at one point, and that gave him a surge. In the end, he lost by less than what she won in superdelegates. Like, literally, if those superdelegates would have been split 50-50, he might have won.
Probably, because you got to go back to the beginning and all that. So anyway, So the professor tells Fox News, quote, "It usually turns out the candidate who does better in his party's primary or her party's primaries beat the other guy who does less well." That's all. That's how simple it is. So, but there's more. There's a little bit more to it, but that's the basis of it. Norpoth uses the primary races in North Carolina, New Hampshire, where Donald Trump came out on top, better than the Democratic race. The second model is called the swing of the pendulum, and if you listen to Glenn Beck, you've probably heard that about 1,000 times. Norpoth says it represents the tendency for a change after 2 terms of a party's being in the White House. Do you know, growing up, when George H.W. Bush won the presidency, after my entire childhood we had a Republican, I asked my dad, does the Democrat Party ever get a president? My dad was like, every once in a while. Well, it turns out, if you look all the way back through history, it's almost impossible to win the presidency after your party just did an 8-year term. It's almost impossible. It's rare. The only reason George H.W. Bush pulled it off is because of how awesome Reagan was. He was so awesome, and everybody loved him so much.
Well, you saw what happened after the 4 years.
Right.
It was tragic how the media.
Right. Yeah. So my point is that I had this bias in me that was wrong. I thought that after 8 years of presidency, that the vice president, who in that case was George H.W. Bush, has a leg up. And I thought there's no way that Gore was going to lose, because just like George H.W. Bush got it after Reagan, certainly Al Gore, who was the vice president for the previous 8 years, was certainly going to win after Clinton, who, you know, you may hate his politics and all that kind of stuff, but and you may hate his policies. You might hate everything about him. You might hate the shenanigans he did in the White House, but thanks to the Reagan trickle-down economics and Newt Gingrich taking
deal with America.
Yeah,
contract
with America.
The Democrats own the deal.
Right.
We own contracts.
Thanks to all that, the 90s was one of the few decades in the past 200 years that we've had wild peace and prosperity. Wild.
Unfettered freedom and prosperity.
Yeah. I think the only other time I can think of that would rival the 90s would have to be the Roaring 20s.
Remember when we were talking about this last night, I think, and you were telling me a story about something that was going down at a restaurant or a bar that you went to, and you're like, yeah, remember when we had money?
Yeah.
Everybody had money?
Oh, we were talking about TGI Fridays, how it used to be that on Friday you couldn't really even get into a TGI Friday.
Packed wall to wall, shoulder to shoulder.
You would open the door and there'd be bodies pressed up against the glass, and you're just like, you want to try to squeeze in there? And of course your buddies are like, yeah, just go up to the bar, man. Just go to the bar and order some drinks. And that's how it was.
Right.
And that's how the 90s were. I mean, people just
everybody
had money.
Back when everybody had money.
And
disposable money.
People under the age of 35, sadly, must have a hell of a time understanding what it was like to really not have to worry about wars. Nobody cared about terrorism because it just didn't exist. There was no thought in your mind ever that somebody would come running into a crowded area with a machine gun or a bomb or fly a plane into a building. And that was one of the main reasons why everybody sat there like a bunch of sheep on the planes on 9/11, because of course they were going to land and everything was going to go fine. Everything was good. And then next thing you know, they were in a World Trade Center.
Right.
But anyway, or the Pentagon.
And you could, back in the 90s, you knew if you quit your job, you'd go get another one tomorrow.
Yeah,
literally.
Well, and also there was this different thing. Now the paradigm has shifted. We had this conversation about millennials are totally different. They could quit at the drop of a hat. Whereas back in the 90s, everybody that had a job, they considered it a career, and they all hoped and believed that they would retire.
Yes.
They would retire from that job
because our dads and our parents did.
Right.
All the
right.
baby boomers.
Baby
we watched
boomers,
the baby boomers
have the same job for 30 years. They retired with full pension and all that stuff. And at some point, now we're Generation Xers, so we had to go through the heartache of realizing that the American dream is gone. Now millennials are different.
The rug was pulled out from underneath us.
They were now millennials are a little different because they kind of grew up knowing that there's no American dream, that it's all fake and not real.
Right.
So they have a whole different attitude. But that's a whole different discussion. We're getting off on a tangent. So let's go back to the professor. He's talking about the swing of the pendulum, and we went down a rabbit hole there. But the point I was trying to make is that I thought Gore was going to win it. But if you were as old and wise as Professor Helmut here, you would know that
he
likelihood,
right?
well, the likelihood of Gore getting he got the popular vote correct in 2000, but it went to Bush because of the Electoral College. So he did predict Gore by the slightest of margins. And he was right with the popular vote. So that's why he got that wrong.
Oh, wow.
He was right with the popular vote. So anyway, so that's the swing of the pendulum. And that is his model. Again, you can look at it at primarymodel.com, which explains the whole thing there. He predicts with 87 to 99% certainty that Trump is going to win this.
Wow.
It's not like, wow. Like in 2000, he probably would have told you, I predict Al Gore by 60%, 55%, right?
Right.
Because it was down the wire, it was close, but he's saying 87 to 99% chance. So if you're listening right now and you're a Trump supporter, I'm telling you, everything is pointing towards a Trump win. Just saying. So what do you got? What are you looking at?
I was digging back into the primaries, Democrat primary, and yeah, it was rough. It was rough for Hillary. Trump had this thing sewn up way early.
Oh, she had to fight.
Yeah, Trump had it sewn up by Indiana, and we all watched as she was embattled. Now that WikiLeaks is broke, WikiLeaks shows us that the Democrat Party was fighting Sanders. They were tricking him. They wouldn't get him the right information.
The DNC was against it.
One of the jokes in the email sent to that was sent back and forth through DNC, they said, "Yeah, can you believe Bernie asked us for, these documents XYZ?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, I can't believe it. What'd you send him?" He said, "I sent him a screenshot of Google."
Oh,
Google
wow.
results. I sent him a screenshot of Google results.
Yikes. Oh, my gosh.
So Bernie was fighting the powers that be and writing. Well, that's another shame. The popularity that an open communist would get.
Well, I mean, the thing about Hillary Clinton is she just does a lot better job of hiding her communism.
Oh, true.
And I don't think Bernie Sanders is so far gone, so far Marxist. He's one of them guys that mistakenly believes that most people would prefer communism. And he kind of wears it on his sleeve like, what do you mean? It's communism. I mean, that's what everybody wants, right? Whereas Hillary knows better. Hillary knows that communism is evil.
Right.
And that's why she likes it so much, because evil people are attracted to evil things.
Correct.
But as an evil person who likes evil things, she's also not an idiot. She knows that she has to hide the evil. The deception is a requirement in order to make the communism work in America, because you have to lie about it, because it doesn't work. It's only designed. Let me explain something to you guys. And I know I've said this 1,000 times before. Communism is only preferable for people in power because it is the most effective way of giving all the power to them personally.
And to control the society.
Right. Has nothing to do with what works best. It only works best for them. That's why they like it. In fact, the system that works the very, very best, which is free market capitalism, actually comes at the expense of the power of the people who run it, which is the government. And they get much less power. In fact, they kind of lay back and just watch it all happen, and it's run by the invisible hand of the free market.
Not to sidetrack y'all.
Breaking news. We got breaking news.
FBI found 650,000 emails on the laptop.
On which laptop?
I'm assuming it's either Wiener's laptop, somebody's laptop. 650,000 emails on a laptop. And the Department of Justice, Loretta Lynch, blocked. It's official. She blocked the probe into the Clinton Foundation.
How do you know?
It's the report the Drudge has got.
Did you click on it?
Not yet. I'm so used to having a PC and a
No,
lockup.
we have full Apple now. No, it'll go fast. It'll go fast.
I'm so worried about a PC lockup.
Is that the Wall Street Journal?
Yep, that is the Wall Street Journal. Wow.
So what's it say?
FBI internal feud over Hillary Clinton probe. So yeah, obviously there was a blockage of the probe. We talked about this, about how the probe was getting ready to probe the Clinton Foundation and it never probed. Apparently she squashed the probe. It's official. This is so, folks, this is so
breaking news.
dirty.
We are literally reading this minutes after it's breaking. Oh my goodness. It says 5:00 p.m. Eastern time. It's 7:21 right now as we're speaking.
It's 2.5 hours ago.
Yeah, this just came out. Federal agents prepare to scour roughly 650,000 emails to see how many of them relate to a I'm going to tell you something right now. If you went back to every email I ever wrote, I don't think there's even close to that. I can't even imagine.
No.
Prior to Hillary Clinton's email use, the surprise disclosure that investigators were pursuing the potential new evidence lays bare tensions inside the Bureau, the FBI, and the Justice Department over how to investigate the Democratic presidential nominee. So they're in there fighting amongst each other inside the FBI, inside the Department of Justice. How are we going to handle this? This is our girl.
Yes,
What are we going to do? Metadata found on the laptop prior to or used by former Representative Anthony Weiner.
Oh, he's referred to now as Halloweener.
Why?
It is the October Halloweener surprise.
Oh, Halloweener.
Halloweener
He's
surprise.
hollow. I was like, was he hollow?
No.
Halloweener.
Halloweener.
Wow. And his estranged wife, Uma, is the H silent? Uma.
Yeah.
Abedin.
We call it Uma.
Uma Abedin, a close Clinton girlfriend, suggests there may be thousands of emails sent to or from the private servers that Mrs. Clinton used while she was Secretary of State, according to people familiar with the matter. It will take weeks at minimum to determine. Oh, did you hear that?
Weeks.
It will take weeks to determine, at minimum, whether those messages are work-related from the time it's now Ms. Abedin.
Yeah, she's searching for a divorce.
She served with served. What kind of service was that?
It depends on who you ask.
At the State Department. How many are duplicates of emails already reviewed? So out of those 650,000, certainly a lot of them would be duplicates, because remember, when you email to somebody, now you have a copy and they have a copy. So there's probably a lot of duplicates, but 650,000.
If you look in,
oh my goodness!
I mean, if you look in the spam box, if you look in, I don't know, does he have that box check mark that where he sends another copy to himself?
Well, either way, you'll have it in your sent items folder.
Right.
The FBI has had to await a court order to begin reviewing the emails because they were uncovered in an unrelated probe. So we were wrong about that earlier.
Right.
So it turns out, oh my gosh, are you serious? So wait a minute. So you're saying that you find a computer as a part of a probe.
Right.
And then you find emails unrelated to the probe. You're not allowed to open them until you get another court order, i.e. warrant, because they're unrelated? They were found in the folder named Not Porn?
Or found in the folder called Dead Bodies.
Right, because we're not looking for dead bodies. We're looking for naked bodies that are being sent to 15-year-old girls, as Wiener is alleged to doing. And I don't want
that doesn't make any sense. No.
That's what it said.
If they retrieve a laptop from you, that doesn't even fly. Because I knew a guy.
Okay.
I knew a guy who was arrested at work.
Okay.
And his laptop was seized by the FBI.
Oh my gosh, okay.
And they used every bit of it.
All right, let's flip it. Let me ask you something, Brian. What if I was being investigated for whether or not I was trafficking in top secret government emails or files?
Okay.
And they took my computer. And turns out it's loaded with child porn.
Oh, you can't do anything about that.
Well, they got to get a separate warrant for that?
That's dumb. If you stumble across a crime scene,
right,
you've got to get a warrant to investigate the crime scene.
Okay, so you're on the crime scene. You got your warrant.
I see a dead body, and there's a dead body on the ground.
Okay.
I get the warrant. Okay, we're investigating the crime scene. As I'm doing that, I stumble over a barrel of cocaine.
In a grow room.
Right.
That's unrelated.
Probably.
Or is it related?
Or is it?
So you're saying, wait a minute. Do you think Wiener was doing a cry for help and he found the first 15-year-old? No, I'm going to get investigated and this going to break this thing wide open.
Right.
So he did it for the purpose of he's getting back at his wife.
Right.
By busting Hillary.
Oh, my goodness. So
he's jealous because he actually likes Uma.
Right.
And
Uma didn't want nothing to do with him.
Yeah, it's a love triangle.
Right.
She's with Hillary.
It's his cry of help.
Yeah. Well, no, he's getting back at Uma.
Right, because his cries of help never...
By getting her girlfriend in prison.
Oh, yeah, so that he can have Uma all to himself.
And if it doesn't work out...
So this by the Chicago Tribune, this article written by the Chicago Tribune just broke today.
Okay. Democrats
should ask Clinton to step aside.
No, I highly am against that.
Oh, I am against it too.
We need it will. I'm gonna tell you something right now.
Because if she stepped aside, she would run in 4 years.
No, she's 68. She's got both feet in the grave.
Oh, you don't think she'll be alive in 4 years?
I'm not saying she'll be dead of natural causes or any other causes.
But she'll be punch drunk.
She will be in hospice or something. She'll be in bad shape. I mean,
well, I don't know who they could put up that would even contend to Trump. Who would?
I remember back when in 2008, one of the things that they were telling the public to try to get them to vote for Hillary Clinton was, and I used it's a crap line. Well, this is her last chance because she'll be too old in 8 years. And I remember immediately saying, "Yeah, right. She's not going to be too old."
Right.
Basically, it was tactics that I've used before in other cases where I relate to that.
Wow, the truth comes out.
Yeah, where you say, "Oh, it's your last chance."
Because it'll never happen again. I'll be too old then.
I'll be too old. So turns out, I immediately was like, that's a lie. She'll be fine in 8 years. I think I was wrong. I think she is too old now, and that's not ageism. I never realized she was going to be falling all over the place.
Right, true that. And the emails have shown that she's been falling down since at least bare minimum 2012.
Yeah.
Uma's been writing about her health.
Right.
And her health issues since 2012. So check this out real quick by John Crass. Has America become so numb by the decades of lies and cynicism oozing from Clinton Inc. that it could elect Hillary Clinton as president, even after Friday's FBI announcement that it had reopened an investigation in her email while Secretary of State? We'll find out soon enough. So the fact that he said, he made it a fact. I'm making a statement. We've become so numb to the decades of lies and cynicism oozing from Clinton Inc. This is a reporter.
I mean, is he conservative?
He writes for the Chicago Tribune.
I'm not familiar.
Well, they can't be conservative.
Oh, because they're in Chicago. He'd
Well,
be dead.
I fear for his life right now. Somebody needs to reach out to him. Oh man.
I mean, he is in Chicago.
Oh.
Chicago's more of like a gangster's paradise, whereas opposed to it's not a socialist or communist paradise. They use socialism or communism as a tool there to help their syndicate.
So check this out. I know this is kind of just moving further along. We've got Hillary Clinton's Fix-It Man, who appeared on Sean Hannity's show.
Is he like a contractor?
Oh, yes, he is. Boy, is he.
Fix it. I mean, is it like a handyman?
Oh, he does the fixing of the fixers. He will take money. He was a journalist originally, and he will take money and bury stories and do good things and do this and do that. Sleight of hand, magic, trickery behind the scenes. An incredible interview. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. Sean Hannity and the Fix-It Man for Clinton. Fascinating interview. A lot of research done onto to verify, to validate this guy as the Fix-It Man. They went all the way back to documents and faxes and fax machines and the time stamped on this information, as well as his own personal diary that was documented throughout the decades of being around the Clintons. The things he fixed, the things that are possible, the people who were involved. It just adds validity to how horrible and awful of a person. We don't need somebody to tell us that she's an awful person. This just confirms everything we've always known. And it makes what Trump has been saying all along, the most crooked, corrupt politician to run for president in 240 years of our existence.
You know, it's amazing. Everybody worried. See if you can remember this. We're gonna go way, way back. Flashback. Everybody used to say that it'd be tough to attack Hillary because she's a woman and it'll look like you're being hard on a woman and blah, blah, blah. And so it'd be tough to run against her. Like, how do you attack her without looking like a misogynist? And I don't think anybody has been harder on any politician in the history of campaigns than Trump has been to Hillary. And guess what? She's so bad that people just accept it. Accept how hard he is on her.
He called her he's just a nasty woman.
Yeah. And people were like, well, that's true. But
what was that young singer that Katy Perry?
Yeah.
She did a little
a number.
She had prosthetics added to her and the makeup added to her for Halloween.
Okay.
To look identical to Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
It was a disgusting, gross mix between Jabba the Hutt and Katy Perry. It was just awful.
Oh.
And she had her entourage pretending to be Secret Service.
Right.
Anyway, she had a T-shirt on with a big heart, white T-shirt, big heart on the front, and it said "Nasty Woman."
Okay, so they're embracing it.
She loves nasty women. And she's also the one that said she's got a tour coming up, Love Trump's Hate.
We've talked about that. Bad marketing.
Right. This is all this is bad marketing. You also something else that's coming down the pipe. They're referring to this past week or this week as Hell Week. You can remember that back in college, right?
College, yeah. Mm-hmm. They probably had a hell week in boot camp, too.
Your first week in boot camp?
No, I was like, some hell, like towards the end.
Oh, that's for you guys that were like toughened up. That's in the Air Force.
Well, we've been getting toughed up, but then they were like, now it's time for Hell Week. And you were like, no.
I don't think they were allowed to use that word in the Air Force.
Because hell's a dirty word.
Right. So her Hell Week, 11-point vanishes in the Washington ABC News poll.
Oh, isn't that spectacular?
Right. And so
you can't make something vanish that wasn't there.
Correct. So this is what I've been saying all along about this Mookie Bladelock. Mook?
There is actually a guy.
Mookie Bladelock.
I believe he's a basketball player.
Right. That was Pearl Jam's original name, Mookie Bladelock. Oh. And they got sued. They had to change the name.
Because Mookie was like, hey, we had a whole episode about this.
Right. Okay. So I know I played a little bit of this, but I want you to hear this is a 57-second ad that the Clinton campaign put out that's now backfiring again. Everything they do, it's like the awful kids in school who refuse to read, refuse to do their homework, refuse to study, and blame everything for them not knowing nothing. Now they're going to run for something, and they still haven't learned anything. And they're like the dumb, it's incomprehensible how ignorant it's just everything they do backfires.
Well, no, that's good.
Right, it's true. It's good, but it exposes how bad they are.
Right. Donald Trump has been going around telling people not to listen to the polls and saying that he can still win this race. Well, you know what? He's absolutely right. Hillary's got the wind at her back, but we can't become overconfident. We call states like Florida, North Carolina, and New Hampshire battlegrounds for a reason. They can go either way. In fact, there was a poll that showed Donald winning Florida. We've seen polls tighten since the third debate, and we expect things to get even closer before Election Day. Please visit iwillvote.com. Find out if you can vote early in your state. Or if you requested an absentee ballot, please fill it out and send it back as soon as possible. If you want to vote on Election Day, find your polling location and make a plan to get there on November 8th. Make no mistake, with only 10% of votes cast, Donald Trump could win this election. But if each one of us makes our voices heard and we all vote, we're going to win. Thank you.
No, sorry, Mook. No. You're desperate. You're desperate. You're calling Trump's. He just said Trump calling the poll numbers out. He's right. So what are you saying, Mook? Are you saying the system's rigged? What are you saying? What do you mean he's right? Don't believe in the polls. Because you're slipping in the polls. So now don't believe them, but before believe them, but now don't believe them.
That is definitely grasping for straws.
And we need every one of you to get out and vote for us to win. Otherwise, Trump's going to win. The reason why Trump's going to win is because he's turning Democrats. They were saying alone, the GOP said alone, there was like 50, 60,000 new registered Democrats came over to the party to register Republicans.
I hope that's true. I mean, I hope that's how it works out.
They're saying out of 250,000, it was like 50 to 60,000 were new Democrats.
Your dad lives in Florida part of the year now.
Right.
So he gets to hang out with Floridians, many of whom actually are residents there. And he scared me, man. I said, so you live there. You just got back. You spend many months there. Do you think it's close? Because I thought Trump by a landslide. And he was like, oh, no, it's close. It's close.
Really?
Because he just got done telling me how there's all these people that have Trump signs everywhere. Everybody's got Trump signs. So I was like, landslide then, right? Landslide? And he's like, oh, no. It's going to be close. I'm not sure why he said that, other than
I'll tell you why
he thinks it's going to be close.
I'll tell you why he said that. And Dad, I love you. Just going to give that a shout out, just to give you a heads up. Nothing personal. But sometimes he can be a little bit on the not so positive side.
Oh, he's a worrywart.
Maybe I don't know.
So he's thinking that, hey, anything can happen.
Well,
So
not
he
only
just
that,
calls
but
it
maybe even to hedge the bet. Whoa, I don't say it's a landslide because I want everybody to think it's close because y'all need to go out and vote.
Right. No, I mean, I think that's... Isn't that what Mook is trying to say?
Right, Mook is nervous, and Sam Keels just said he spent a week in Florida. He said Trump's going to win Florida big time.
Oh, that's what I said, 11 points. Or
Well,
actually, and by the way, Sam, if you were listening earlier, which I don't know if you were, we talked about the new report out by Bill Still reporting, who says that he extrapolated the numbers that he had and comes up with 11-point victory on Election Day for Florida, for Trump. And I've been saying for months, I think it's going to be a double-digit win in Florida for Trump. So,
well, anyway. Even going back, the largest arenas, the largest crowds. I mean, they're just huge crowds.
They're the biggest in Florida.
In Florida, you're talking that one crowd, 15,000 were in, 17,000 were in, and another 15,000 couldn't get in.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about tens of thousands of people. We went this week to Springfield, Ohio, which is, I don't know, it seems like it's kind of small and rural. It's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was out there in the fairgrounds. And there were anywhere from 5 to possibly 7,000 people there at that rally.
Yeah, and I think they had 2 or 3 days advance notice on that rally. It was the middle of the day.
1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
And everybody was waiting for hours.
People obviously
Trump was
took
late.
the day off.
Oh, yeah. And so when Trump showed up, unbelievable. The crowd went wild.
Remember when we thought he was going to come out 2 different times and it was somebody else? Like there's this long delay and they'd play music in the background.
Right.
And then the music would cut off, and we were all waiting, and we all knew he was going to be here any second. And then the announcer would come on and say, "Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for
the head of the campaign of Mike J. Johnson,
the deputy director of assistant campaigns of the GOP Trump supporters."
The last guy to come out.
They practically booed him.
They did boo him. The last guy that came out, they booed him. And he was the one that oh boy, he was sweating bullets.
He was sweating bullets.
And he got the crowd chanting, "We love Trump."
Yeah, he was good at getting the chants going.
So got it going. And finally he said, "Now, the one you've been waiting for."
The assistant deputy. And we're all like, are you serious?
No, he announced Trump. And Trump stepped out from behind the curtain. And the crowd was on their feet.
Yeah, they were going
They
crazy.
went absolutely nuts.
They loved it. He sounded a little bit, like he could have used another hour of sleep.
And what has he been doing? 3 to 4 shows a day.
Right. And
you want to talk about the hardest working man in politics?
Definitely. He you could tell he's got it memorized, but wouldn't you? If you did it 4 times a day, every single day, for weeks and weeks, months and months on end, you'd pretty much have it completely.
Well, how about that Sarah Palin? Well, you were talking about Sarah Palin back in the day.
Yeah, she had the exact same words at every single rally. Rally.
This is kind of funny. It's just to be, when you do the same thing over and over again, you get really, 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 really good at it. I was a kid, young teenager, went to that the Renaissance Festival.
Okay.
And I saw this guy who was a sword swallower.
Okay.
And comedian.
I think I saw the same guy. It's probably the same guy because he's old now.
Well, he was younger then, right? Might be.
This guy's old now. Yeah, same guy.
So fast forward 10 years after that, I'm almost 25. I'm watching an HBO comedy special.
Is it that guy?
He was on!
Oh, my gosh.
And it was word for word. I was like, that's exactly what he did.
Wow. So let me tell you the exact same thing.
But he was so good. He was on HBO, though.
Right. Well, guess what? I had the exact same experience. When I was a student at UC, this guy that was an actor that appeared in a movie called Half Baked.
Oh, right.
Was coming to our place, and his name was Dave Chappelle.
No, you're a liar.
Yeah, and that's all he was known for, is he was on Half Baked, which everybody loved at the time. And so we said, oh, this will be great. Let's go watch it. So I watch it, and it was the greatest comedy. It's like a 2-hour thing, right? Whatever. Greatest thing ever. And a couple of weeks later, maybe about a couple months, I'd say a couple months later, he was coming out with Killing 'Em Softly, the movie.
Right.
Which is his whole stand-up routine. Well, guess what? Word for word. I saw Killing 'Em Softly live before the HBO came out. It wasn't the recording because I was at Cincinnati. Killing 'Em Softly occurred in D.C. That's where it was recorded at. So he had been doing, like, he memorized, I think it's 2 hours or an hour. It's a long, it might have been an hour. Whatever it was a long comedy routine.
Right.
He had the whole thing almost word for word, except for a little bit of play that he had with the audience. When he played a little bit with the audience, a little bit of ad-libbing in there.
Well,
Other than that, word for word.
Well, that gives you, having your routine word for word gives you the confidence to play with the crowd like that when it happens. And when you're quick on your feet. Even Trump did it. Trump's like, I see that sign back there. Drain the swamp. That's what we're going to do. We're going to drain the swamp.
Right.
And it was one of, my mom was watching that live.
Oh, was she? Okay.
While we were there. And she texted me, drain the swamp, LOL.
I wonder which camera she was looking at it, because we could have stuck our face in front of it.
Oh, like that one guy who stuck his hands in front of the camera?
Who did that?
Oh, the kids in the crowd messing with the camera.
Oh, those
crew.
hands. Oh, yeah. They were making hand gestures that would be inappropriate.
Those hand gestures might shock you.
Depending on your...
depending on who you are.
Right. It might be shocking.
Oh, wow. Hey, you want to... wow. You want to hear...
I was going to see if you wanted to hear Gary Johnson.
Did you pull that up?
Okay, well, here's the thing about Gary Johnson. I can't play the whole clip. The whole thing's 5.5 minutes long.
No, we don't have
so
that
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But I do want to play the juicy parts. He had this interview at one of his campaign headquarters, and he just lost his mind. This guy, can you believe that people, never Trumpers, Cruise Crew people, were seriously considering this person?
I saw him.
Well, we got $12 million. We're at 10% plus in the polls. We're leading among independents, among young people, among active military personnel.
They are?
This is a celebration.
But you're not at 10% in the polls. You were at 10% in the polls. You're near a 6.1% at the moment.
Well, this is real clear politics. That was one of my yelling points earlier, is that...
What's a yelling
point? You know what?
Point?
I mean,
exactly.
Pick your poll. Pick your poll.
If
you want to say I'm at 6.1%, yesterday I was in Virginia, 15%. New Mexico, I'm at 24%. I don't know where 6.1% comes from. I have no idea.
I'll tell you where it comes from. It comes from an average of all of the polls. So it takes all of the polls, it looks at the consensus.
Well, why are you here then at 6.1%? Why are you even interviewing me? I don't get it. If I'm doing so poorly, is this to preside over a funeral here? It's not a funeral, it's a celebration.
So how would you then explain how Evan McMullin is currently tied with Clinton and Trump in Utah?
Well, he's from Utah. He's on the ballot in 11 states, so he can't win the presidency.
Who cares?
He's a Utah.
McMullin.
Oh,
he's talking about Egg McMullin.
McMuffin.
Yeah, Egg McMuffin, yeah.
He's ensuring that Hillary Clinton will win Utah. And you know what? He is what he is, and you know I begrudge no one for entering the race.
That's the spoiler argument.
Look, you asked me. I'm not labeling it spoiler. I'm just telling you what I think the reality is.
All right,
Tell me what you think.
I'm going to fast forward a little bit here.
Corporate tax, and I would replace it with one federal consumption tax.
Right after the tax part,
Put the fair
he
tax
loses
out there as
his
a template
mind.
for how to dot the I's and cross the T's to accomplish one federal consumption tax. I'm pretty
Sounds
versed
like
on the consumption
he's pretty
tax,
versed.
on the
Flat
fair
tax.
Pretty versed.
And how they actually
I'll give him that.
accomplish
Sounds like
things
he knows what he's talking about. He
that
knows
it
the
is
jargon.
regressive, for example.
I mean, I've looked and searched for any credible economist who would think it's sensible to abolish income tax, abolish the IRS, abolish corporation tax and replace it with effectively one large sales tax, and think that makes sense.
Well, like I say, we have a difference of opinion.
I'm not saying that you and I disagree. I'm saying most of the world's major economies and most of the world's major economists disagree with you.
Look, I don't want to.
He has no answer.
I don't want to.
But it's not a question of arguing.
Look, I came out for the legalization of marijuana. Let me just use that as an example. And I will tell you that I had people in my face for years and years and years talking about how stupid and how idiotic it was that we should allow marijuana to be legal.
But what's that got to do with your tax?
This is getting really...
It's leadership. It is leadership.
It's leadership. Let me tell you something.
I'm losing it over here, man.
Okay, let me tell you something real quick about this video clip. The audio that you just heard did not do it justice. You should have seen the look on Gary Johnson's face when he pivoted to legalizing marijuana. He looked like he was going to punch him in the face.
Yo, he got all up in his grill.
He got real close to him, and he had this. It was
grimacing.
It was
menacing.
It was one of those. It was so awkward. If I was there interviewing him, I would have seriously been a little bit nervous that he might actually try to punch me.
He had the crazy eyes going.
It was crazy. So definitely look at that if you're one of those idiotic cruise crew never Trumper morons. Because who are you voting for? You got Egg McMuffin, who is 11 states. Gary Johnson just said it. He's on the ballot in 11 states, which means he has zero chance of winning the presidency. It's a stupid statement to make a vote for him. You got Gary Johnson, who, by the way, is forcing Jewish bakers to bake swastika cakes for Nazis who want to get married.
Oh, nice.
That is
take away freedom.
Yeah, that is not libertarianism. It is not. Anyway.
So would you like to hear something a little bit more positive and uplifting about Trump?
Oh, we were nailing that, weren't we?
Oh, we were. But this comes from our beloved friend and warrior in the trenches, Ann Coulter.
Okay, all right.
On Bill Maher.
Oh, good.
It's a one-on-one, her and Bill Maher.
This has got to be awesome.
Yes, take it away, sister.
Because I really want to talk about the reason we support Donald Trump, the reason there is a civil war. But I will say that everyone in television has said horrible things on hot mics that you wouldn't want to get out there.
Not like this.
No, they're different things. But no matter how
Different
professional
matter.
you are, lots of people have said totally embarrassing things. There are three people we've heard the hot mic tapes from: Bill O'Reilly, Laura Ingraham, and Donald Trump. They're hot mic tapes.
And I don't know where that Bill O'Reilly tape went.
You couldn't find it?
Oh, no, it's scrubbed from the earth.
That's hilarious. That's the one where he's a lot younger, and he's like, just roll it, or something like that. He's like screaming.
Oh, I was referring to the one where he called that girl on the cell phone requesting a booty call.
That's
from a woman who worked for him.
That wasn't a hot mic.
He was drunk. She recorded it.
Right, that wasn't a hot mic. That was a recording.
Oh, right.
Okay, go ahead.
Tapes on everybody. It's humiliating for everybody. This is all-out war for Trump. And why is it all-out war on Trump? Because he is absolutely right. It is the American people against the uniparty of both the Democrats and my party that I never saw until Trump came along. They want open borders, as Hillary said in her hot mic tape, open borders that will crush the wages of not only the working class, but the middle class. It's the trade deals to send any jobs that haven't already been sent to Mexico and send them to Asia. It's because of the endless war that your candidate wants to now start with Russia.
All right.
That's why we support Trump.
You win. You've answered my question. That if Obama had said it, it would have been a no big deal.
Okay, why is that so funny?
Because they realized, and the audience realized it too. You could tell by the reaction. Prior to the clapping, prior to him reacting, that he's been bulldozed in the debate.
Right.
So imagine when a bull comes out the matador, you don't try to lock horns with the bull. You just pivot to get out of the way.
Oh, okay.
And so he basically said, hey, I'm waving the white flag here. And you answered my question, so that's good enough. And just kind of made a little joke out of it. And the audience was relieved that he didn't have to confront those facts.
No, he could sidestep the facts easily by talking about Obama and Mr. Johnson on the aircraft when he was running for president in 2008 and the reporters. Pretty disgusting. But nobody wanted to talk about that video.
No. Yeah, he wanted to go ahead and get to a different topic.
Right.
I'll tell you, it would be no big deal if he were against TPP. It would be no big deal if he were the only candidate who wanted to build a wall. It would be no big deal if he were the only candidate who wanted extreme vetting for, immigrants whose religion teaches them to kill us, as opposed to quadrupling that. Are you going to defend that, Bill Maher?
Okay, let me ask you about...
Let's go back to the immigrants we're bringing in, whose religion teaches them to kill us so that they slaughter 50 people at a gay nightclub in Orlando. Do you think we should be giving them an extra look? Because your candidate wants to quadruple the immigration of
She's owning
of
him.
Muslims.
She is absolutely owning him.
That's all, folks. That's all. It was an epic rant by Ann Coulter, who is fed up. Her emotions of being fed up with the left is what the majority of Americans feel by politically correct BS that whether you're Democrat or not, you're not allowed to say certain things, otherwise you're going to make somebody upset.
Yeah, Ann Coulter, we got to get her together with Bill Maher as much as possible, because you could tell he just does not know how to deal with facts like that. What he does is he's not anywhere near as skilled, but he's got that Jon Stewart ability to make you laugh or feel that conservative ideas and beliefs there's an absurdity about it.
Right.
He's not as good as Jon Stewart is. In fact, if he was, he would have been asked a long time ago to take over at Comedy Central or whatnot. But he's not. So he's not as good at it as Jon Stewart was. But he does do that. But when you got somebody like Ann Coulter, I mean, she hits you with an avalanche of facts and conclusions that are mic drops.
Yes.
You know what she does? She comes with a whole entire basket of mics, and she just starts dropping them all over you.
This goes hand in hand. Milo was being interviewed, and this is only 30 seconds long. Milo was being interviewed, and his response to this interviewer is what Brexit was all about, and is what America's Brexit is about. Even Trump referenced Brexit.
Yeah,
this is America's Brexit.
What do you say to those? What do you say to those people? I mean, it's the offensive comments that were made.
Yes, I say good. Good. If I offended you, that's me performing my function. And you should grow thicker skin and grow up. And so long as there are people who think that offense taking and having grievances is equivalent to some genuine kind of injury, I'm still necessary. You may disagree with me. That's fine. Come debate me. But so long as there is a politics in this country, as there is, where people can turn victimhood and grievance into currency, I will continue to be as offensive as possible.
Wow. So he really, truly understands the role and purpose of America's First Amendment. And not every country has that. In fact, very few countries actually have the kind of freedom that America has as spelled out in the First Amendment in this particular case, and he gets it.
As long as there's grievances that are turned into currency,
right,
I am relevant.
He's specifically talking about when being hurt by words is equivalent to being physically hurt.
Right.
He's necessary.
Right.
Because he needs to pound you psychologically with his words so that you grow thicker skin, so you don't try to take people's rights of freedom of speech away from them because you are such a Nancy boy.
Not only that, but even take it one step further, and I told the story a little while back on one of our other shows, and I won't get into it, but I'm just going to reference it. The black a fire chief out in Los Angeles, who was the biggest prankster there ever was, pulled all kinds of awful, awful pranks. And they pulled a prank on him because he called himself the big dog. They put dog food in his food, and he took one bite. They laughed and told him about it, and he spit it out.
Okay.
$20 million he was awarded.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
It cost.
Did he even ask for it?
No, it cost for. Yeah,
they forced him to take it.
It cost the city like $80 million because the suit went twice. It was struck down by the people, voted to strike it down. It was struck down. They walked away from it. Once they walked away from it, the city then was hit again with the same lawsuit and settled it immediately to walk away from it because it was cheaper to settle it.
So just give him $20 million.
Walk away. It's grievances like that.
But was he upset? You said that he was a prankster, blah blah blah, and then he
was. Yeah,
he laughed and
racist.
he spit it out.
It was racist.
But then he later
he
came
sued
back.
him. Oh yeah, sued him.
So he was mad. He was genuinely mad.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm glad that he got enough money to offset the pain and suffering and injury that he's going to have to endure for the rest of his life for making the mistake of thinking that doing a prank like that was clearly because of the color of his skin.
Yeah, so of course. And
so his stupidity and mistake on assessing the situation.
Right.
He gets awarded for that $20 million.
Right. And he always referred to himself as the big dog. Big dog. Feed the big dog. Feed the dog. When they play hoops, they play basketball. Feed the dog. Feed me. Feed. That was the big joke.
So gave him
feed the dog.
All right. They fed the dog.
$20
million they fed him.
And hopefully we've fed you folks a great deal of information. Listen to us, follow us everywhere around the net. SmythRadio.com, SMYTHradio.com. There on our website, you can see our Twitter account, our Facebook account. You can read Drudge, you can read Breitbart, just Sick By, see all of it. You don't want to stop shop.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.